Hello. Check 1, 2. Greetings, people of Earth. My name is Dustin Cormier. It is a pleasure to see you all. Hello, hello. Looks like we're live. Welcome, welcome. It's nice to see the folks who are hanging out live with us. This is another episode of How to Rock Astrology. And today, as we so often love to do, we are going to be exploring some live chart readings for your pleasure right here on our channel. Very nice to see you all. I hope everybody's been doing well. It has been some wonderful times as of late for me. I've been doing very well. I'm just going to light up some incense. I've got a tiny little room, and I like to get incense going for a bit. Can't keep it going forever. I smoke myself out. And it's been a great time for me lately. So, as all of you know, I am Dustin Cormier, and I am currently moving through a transformation in my astrological technique. And this transformation is centered on the work of Ernst Wilhelm. You may know Ernst Wilhelm as the sort of one of the godfathers of Tropical Vedic Astrology, at least on YouTube. He's up there with Ryan Kirksack and Ernst Wilhelm. I consider myself to be in their camp. But even Ernst Wilhelm has carved into a camp which is outside of what even the Tropical Vedic Astrology community is doing, by using a new set of symbols that he calls the Adityas circle. So if you haven't heard of the Adityas circle, it's a lot of fun. It is an important and necessary, it's an important new change in how he calculates the archetypes of the rashis, the signs. And some of the basic stuff we do in astrology, I'm being a millennial right now. I'm looking at my phone so I can get the live up. He has very much changed and altered how he uses his archetypes. Hey there, Ksenia, I believe is how I was calling you. Nice to see you. Ernst's sign archetypes. He's using what he's been calling a more authentic Hindu astrology. So for his work, of course, you can always check it out. And I am here as one of his lackeys, perpetuating the new consciousness. And it's been a lot of fun to do so. That's been my main shtick lately. On top of that, I'm also writing books. I'm writing an astrology book, and I'm writing poetry as well as a novel. So writing has been my big thing lately, which is very nice because Saturn is transiting my 9th house. So it's nice to see you all. We have some people hanging out with us already. We always have more people piling in as time goes on for these readings. But yes, today we are doing some live readings. Yes, you heard correct. You are going to get a chance to get a live reading from me using Ernst Wilhelm's Adityas circle system. Now, there is a lot going on in the Ernst Wilhelm world. If you go on his website and you check out his stuff, he has lots to learn. There's lots to learn in the way that he does astrology, and lots of things being added to his pile of works. Hello there, Al. Nice to see you. I'm so glad that you've been enjoying learning from my videos. Nice to see you here on a live. So yes, there's lots to learn from Ernst Wilhelm's new batch of material on his YouTube channel. And it's expanding a lot, and it's continually growing. Now, I'm really, the techniques that I use are techniques that we all recognize from what I've been doing. It's classic Tropical Vedic Astrology type stuff. I just apply the Adityas circle to them. But as time goes on, I'm adding new techniques. You know, it's nice to add new moves, new instruments to your repertoire. Astrologers are just like musicians, you know. There's times as a musician where it's just good to just do some good old-fashioned jazz standards. You know, it's there's some jazz standards, there's classics that everyone should know and everyone should have in their bones and everyone should play. And astrology is similar to this. One of the things I've been doing is something called the Napasa Yogas. I've been very excited to be unleashing these. And I'm probably gonna do them. They're a natural part of my writing, my process now. Every time I do a reading, I'm basically thinking about these Nabasa Yogas. Now I have a list, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about these Nabasa Yogas today. But ultimately, today is more of a live stream than anything. Where is this thing that I'm looking for? Here we go. Today's more of a live stream than anything. We will be doing live readings. We will be taking your chart and putting it through the ringer and seeing what your chart has to say about you. So, let's start flowing. I've got my Kala up, which is, of course, the software that we use as Tropical Vedic Astrologers. It's the big software that everybody uses. For a little bit of fun, let's start going through some of these Nabasa Yogas, just so you can kind of see what it is that we're getting at here. So here is Kala Yoga. I'm going to go to Dustin Cormier Rectified. I think I'm going to have to change my Ayanamsha, because I've been playing around with a certain Ayanamsha. Why? Ayanamsha is the particular way that the tropical signs are portrayed against the stars. And I'm going to put it to my normal thing, which puts me in Sun, Jupiter, Dasha, gives me Jesta Moon. There's lots of these different Ayanamshas to play with. It's classic Tropical Vedic Astrology stuff. Now, I'm also noticing that I'd like to change my charts back to being more yellow, because this white color ain't it. Default. Thank you. All right, we're on track here, folks. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, good morning, Cosma Fox. Very nice to have you here. And to everyone who's hanging out here. This is my Tropical Vedic Astrology chart. And as you can see here, this is us using our chart. Now, as always, in the corners, we have the dual signs, Amshu, Parjanya, Mitra, Vivashvan. I am Vivashvan rising, which is the 6th natural sign in the Adityas circle. Now, let's take a little peek. I just want to use my own chart as sort of a preemptory example of the work that we're going to get into with these Nabasa Yogas. Don't give it to me like that. I'm using my laptop, so I'm not using the typical stuff that I would use, but that's okay. So, these are our Nabasa Yogas. They are celestial formations. The Nabasa Yogas represent foundational bricks in the structure of classical Jyotisha. They're mentioned either first or second in most old texts, since they reveal effects inherent within the total structure of the horoscope. This means, this is worth mentioning here, that in most of the old let's see if I got this. Why? In most of the old systems of classical Jyotisha, what would tend to happen is that the signs, anything that the author of a book in ancient times, anything they mention first is going to be most predominant. That's why Agni is the first word in the Vedas, I believe. Or at least they talk about Agni first. The first thing that is mentioned in any old Vedic text tends to be the top of the food chain, high in the line of things that need to be known from that text. The Nabasa yogas are usually one of the first things that are mentioned, which means it is preeminent. It is the sort of the basket that holds the rest of the chart. It's the concrete that the rest of the chart stands on. I'm going to fix my thing here a little bit. Let's see if I can get this quite right. So this is relevant to anything that we do in astrology. It's nice to know that through this, there we go, my camera's all fixed up. Through this, we can kind of know and learn what is the more important stuff when we are absorbing any knowledge, any writing from ancient texts. I'm trying to get my camera right, and it kind of sucks that it's being weird. Looks like we got it now. These Nabasa yogas are mentioned first, which means they are preeminent and predominant in any chart reading. And we don't hear enough about them, so I'm glad to be sharing them and talking about them. They are celestial formations. Now, what are the nature of these celestial formations? It has to do with the shape of planet arrangements. What I often mention to people that relates to these Nabasa yogas is, things like a yod that we know from Western astrology. A lot of people in the Western world know about yods. It is a certain configuration of planets in a chart. There's the bowl chart. I have a bowl chart. This is probably worth even thinking about, and looking at. But this isn't a Vedic technique. The bowl chart is more of a Western thing. But you can see, since Viveshvan is my rising sign, Parjanya is my descendant, my 7th house, all of the planets, excluding Ketu, which is not technically a planet, all of the planets fall into the bottom of my chart. You can kind of see it probably better if you look on the North Indian style. This is my rising sign. All the planets are on this left side here. This is closer to the 4th house. So that's what we'd call a bowl chart in Western astrology. In a similar way, we experience these kinds of celestial formations in Vedic through these Nabasa yogas, right? And there's, several different types. I'm going to talk about 3 of them today because the last one, the Akriti Nabasa yogas, they're not as common, and they are very, very important. But they're not quite as foundational as these ones. The last ones mentioned. The first 3 mentioned are ones that most people can relate to. Hello there, Monica. Nice to see you. So, for example, let's go with, in my chart, we can just see it. We can start with what's called the Ashraya, resting place yogas. These are yogas having to do with the type of Rashi the planets fall into together. In my chart, as we can see, most of my planets are falling into cardinal signs. We have Venus and Jupiter in the sign of Tvashta, which is cardinal. You can see the mutable signs are in the corners, and then the cardinal signs, just like in regular astrology. This is the last sign, Parjanya, the 12th sign. And then the first sign is Tata. And then the second sign is Aryama, and then the third sign is Mitra. So it's mutable, cardinal, fixed. Mutable, cardinal, fixed. Mutable, cardinal, fixed. Mutable, cardinal, fixed. So if we're going clockwise, a sign that comes after the corners is always going to be cardinal, right? Just like in regular astrology. So I have Venus and Jupiter in a cardinal sign. That's Tvashta. And I have Mercury and the Moon in the cardinal sign of Bhagha. It's the earth cardinal sign, the 10th sign. So those are 4 planets in the cardinal signs, and then I have 1, 2, 3 planets in mutable signs. So this would give me Raju Yoga. It's the rope yoga. So most planets are falling into cardinal rashis. And in this case, in my chart, I would talk all about what the Raju Yoga is all about. Raju tends to be the toughest one of all of these. So most times, Ernst Wilhelm will specifically mention if somebody has Raju Yoga, because it can be so difficult, it can be so transformative and changing. It's hard to pin anything down. That's the story of my life. It's been very difficult for me to just focus long enough to write some books. But it's conducive to Zen in a certain way. I'm seeing Cosma Fox, you say you have a T-square in your chart. That is one of these, that's kind of indicative of a significant structure. It's the chart formations that are most intriguing and interesting with these Nabasa yogas. But the Nabasa yogas are very specific things, as we can see here. So for me, in these readings, when I am going from, what we're going to do today is we're going to go from the Tropical Vedic chart that everybody recognizes, and then we're going to go into your Aditya chart. That's what we did last week when I was looking for guinea pigs. I was trying to go into the flow of being able to go from one to the other. My hair is whack. I got to get a haircut. So that is what we're planning on doing today. Now, we have 5 people hanging out with us at this moment. And today I would like to open our readings up to everybody, not just our members. Maybe after our first reading, depending on how many readings we do today, we'll either do 2 or 3. And maybe the second one will be for channel members. I like to do readings specific for my members because they are supporting me. If you want to join channel membership for my channel, it's $3 a month. By doing so, you're supporting me in my work as an astrologer and as a student of astrology, and coming out and doing this YouTube stuff. And as well, you will occasionally get a chance to get high priority in these live readings. So if you're interested in being in the channel membership, I think I have a link for that. I have an app for that. I have a link for that. So I'm going to put it here in the chat. So if anybody's interested in joining the membership, you can feel free to join there. No expectations, of course, but you will get some priority reading when we do these live streams. So now I think that we should start moving ahead. We've already got a few people hanging out here. It's nice to see you all live. Hello, hello. Usually takes a little bit for people to start piling in. But now that we have some folks here, you guys have heard it already. We're going to be talking about these Nabasa yogas today. It's going to be one of the things that I'm bringing into realization in my work as an astrologer. These Nabasa yogas are celestial formations, kind of like a bowl chart, like you'd see in Western astrology, like I have in my chart. If somebody has all their planets concentrated in one sector of the chart, that's like a celestial formation. The Nabasa yogas are mentioned first in the many old ancient texts, which means they're the basket that holds everything. So for those watching, we're about to do our first live reading for the day. I think we should just jump right in and get started on it. We're 20 minutes in already. Let's see now if those of you who are watching, let's just say hello. Give me a show of hands. Say hi. I'm interested in a reading. Let's see how many people are wanting to get a free live reading right now. If you are here, it's Saturday for me. If you're watching live, you now have a chance to get a reading today. Cosmofox, my dear, thank you so much for joining. We have a new member. Welcome, Cosmofox. Welcome, Michaela. Welcome, Grim Lucifer. Gunmetal Crow, it's very nice to see you. Give me all the hellos, folks. There's Owl. Nice to see you as well. Hello, AFK. And Cosmofox, I'm going to include you in this first reading. Hello, Intuitive Scorpio. It's nice to see you. Let me know in the chat, folks, if you are here, if you'd like a free reading right now from me. And your chart is going to be an exemplary instrument of us studying Tropical Vedic Astrology. So remember, folks, when we do these readings, it's always good for me to say, this is a public forum. And our interest is not to drag your skeletons out of the closet. But by doing astrology, there is a tendency to bring out the depth of things. That's really, if you want to get some good healing, it's good for us to be vulnerable. It's good for us to be with what the soul is communicating to us in this moment. It's a very sacred thing for me as a human being to offer healing through this astrology practice. And when we do it live, it's good for everybody to, we're all in this together. We're all here supporting the healing of the person who has been chosen. That's always a good thing it's a good way to think about what we're doing here. Nice to see you, Cosmofox, and everybody else here. Okay, so we got some folks who are here. Now, let's get started. What's funny? I've been thinking about doing this, and I think I'm going to do it today. Always experimenting, folks. Hey, Monica, I got you. Let's see how this works. I'm on biker mode. What's up? I usually have these glasses. Oh, yeah. Are we doing this today? This is our Saturday mode. Welcome, folks. I just smoked a joint, and now I'm just gonna hang out here and talk stars with everybody. So get ready. Get ready, folks. We're going far out today. That's what's going down. You came in at just the right time. I just stopped listening to some rock music, went surfing on the beach for a bit. Now I'm ready to read the stars, blow some minds. Go far out there, I don't know if I'm going to be chasing this bandana the whole time. No, I did not just smoke a joint, though. Surf music is cool, though. But I've kind of made it a thing not to, I like to smoke a joint once in a while. Smoke way less weed than I ever did, and that's a really good thing for me. It's nice to do it once in a while. I have deep respect for cannabis. But I don't do it when I'm doing readings. I don't drink when I'm doing readings. If I'm at a party, I'll talk about all sorts of fun things. But astrologers are holding a person's life and destiny in their hands. You don't have to take it that seriously, but that's what you're doing. People use astrology as their neon lights on the airplane roadway of their life. And if you tell them that's what that light means, even if you're at a party and drinking, it goes into their brain, So I like to take myself seriously when I can. Despite this look. Awesome, Cosmofox. I'm glad to hear that some big shifts are happening. Big shifts are meaningful. They're meant to happen or else they wouldn't be happening. And it's nice when they're auspicious, but sometimes they're happening just because they have to happen. I wonder if I'm going to be chasing this thing this whole time. I love it. I just feel like I've got like a 5 head. I look like Howie Mandel. Where's my hand cream? Where's my hand sanitizer? Yeah, I'm gonna play with it. I'm fucking with it. Anyway, folks, let's pretend to be serious for a minute here. So, everybody, I see we've got some folks who are interested in a reading. We've just had more folks enter the chat. So, again, everybody who has already said hello, no need to say hello again. Kashenya, nice to see you. Let's do our first pick and our first reading for the day. Now, if you have just joined and you haven't said hello, yeah, we have to do it this way because I have to see your name in here. So we have 15 people here now. If you've just joined in and you're interested in a free live reading right now, our first reading is going to be for everybody. And we haven't started yet. We're about to choose. So hello, Syra Chabra. Nice to see you. Thank you for saying hello. Anybody else who's just joined, mention your name now. Hey, Dual Set. Nice to see you, another fellow channel member. See, folks, you can tell channel members are the people who have the little plants or seeds beside their name. It starts off as a little seed, and then it turns into a plant. So the people who have the plants are the ones who have been channel members for a long time. Hello there, Marcella. Thank you for joining in. Anybody else, speak now or forever hold your peace. We got lots of people hanging out today, so now is your chance to mention your name, say hello. Well, you don't have to mention your name, but say hello, say good morning, and your name will be here so that when I pick a number, I'm going to point at your name, and you might possibly get a free live reading today. I think today we are doing live readings for pretty much everybody. So if you are here, yes, if you're just tuned in, you now have a chance at a live reading. You just have to say hello, say that you would like a reading. And maybe, depending on how many readings we do today, it's always good for me to do one reading for our channel members in particular. Grim Lucifer, it's nice to see you. And I've got you, my friend. I already have you on our list. So it looks like we might have everybody who is here. Again, I know we keep getting people in here, so maybe I'll take just a few minutes. It's 10:28 in my world. Hello, Destiny. Destiny, I love it. Destiny and Destiny. Very nice to see you. So Destiny, you are on our list as well, and so is Marcella. Anybody else? We got 18 people here, and we are about to pick our first reading. If you've just joined in, you've come at the perfect time because our next reading is coming in 1 minute. So if you're interested in a free reading, say your name, say hello. Again, you don't have to say your name, but say hello, because if you put hello in the chat box, I will know that you're interested in a reading. We got 1 minute left, and then we are going to go down. I'm going to pick a number, and from that number, I'm going to go, I'm going to pick people. Hey, AFK, I already got you, pal. I'm going to go down the list of names that I have, and whoever I land on based on the number I picked is going to be our first reading for today. Very exciting, and I'm very happy to be talking with everybody about all the new fun astrology techniques that I've been doing. Remember, this is Ernst Wilhelm Adityas circle. So if you are not yet privy to that, you are now going to be. So folks, it's 10:30. Congratulations. Those who are here, thank you for your patience. Now we are going to choose our next victim, our next volunteer victim in the spiderweb of Tropical Vedic Astrology. So we got a few folks here: Michaela, Grim Lucifer, Gunmetal Crow, Owl, AFK, Intuitive Scorpio, Cosmofox, Monica, Ksenia, Syra, Dualset, Marcella, and Destiny. Very nice to see you all. So we got lots of people here. I'm going to pick a number. One that I often like to pick is 33. But I think I'm going to mix it up, change destiny a little bit, and go with 34. Yes. Oh, yeah, Ksenia. I got you, honey. Thanks, Ksenia. Oh, awesome. Susan. Everybody, my fellow colleague, Susan Smotty, is here checking out my video. Susan has also taken the plunge and dove into studying Ernst Wilhelm's Adityas. It's very nice to see you here, Susan. So I'm going to go with 34, number 34 today, and I'm going to spin through and see whose name I land on. And whoever gets chosen is going to be our live reading for the moment. I'm going to start at 34, and today I'm going to go from the bottom, starting probably at, let's see, Cosmo Fox is here. Starting probably at Destiny, because Grimlock and AFK and Marcella are already up there. Okay, I'm going to start with Destiny. I'm going to go up, and we're going to go with the number 34. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. I've actually just connected with, the person that I've landed on is somebody that we've recently connected with. Our friend Owl. Whew, that was a tricky one. Next time I'm going to be a little bit more, I'm going to try to have the names all in one spot. It's going to be a little bit more clear, but I did good. We did it. We did the thing. My friend Owl, are you still here watching our live reading today? I think Owl has been on my channel and has said hello to me for a while. Owl, let me know if you are here and live with us, because you have been chosen. You are our first guinea pig, our first sacrifice to the gods. Now, it often does happen that I take a million years to finally choose the person for the day. So if Al is not here, we'll just have to go to the next person. Poor Al, I'll have to get them at some point if that is the case. Who? We are looking for Owl. Owl, are you with us? Is Owl in the room with us right now? Is everybody in? Looks like we might be missing out on an Owl. So that's okay. I'm just going to give one more chance. Owl, if you are here, you have been chosen for our first reading. This is the thing that I guess it is. I take too long to finally get going when I finally get going. But it looks like Owl is not here for the moment. That's okay. Oh, there's Owl. Aw, okay, Owl. No problem, Al. Now, for your sake, Owl, and for anybody else who's interested, I do private readings. I do dollar per minute. Would that be right? Yeah, $1 per minute readings. So it'd be like $60 for an hour. Sometimes I do deals. So if you're ever interested in that, Owl, of course you can feel free to do so. But Owl, my friend, I'm just happy to have you here hanging out with us and being a part of our reading today. So thank you so much for being here and hanging out. And no need to be sorry. Okay, cool. Hello, Tab. Nice to see you. So, okay, folks, thank you, Al, for letting us know what's going on. Now let's, anytime we're here, Owl, again, you can always volunteer again. And we can always feel free to change what's going on in the moment. I'm just happy to have you here. So, folks, we're going to pick number 34 again. This time we're going to start from the top. We're going to start at Michaela. We're going to go down. And we're going to go with the number 34 again. So for those watching, we still have 17 people watching. Let's move through the same list and see who gets chosen for our first reading. I'm going to go with number 34 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been chosen. Now, I think that this is somebody who's been with us for a long time. And I might have done a reading for you already, but not with the Adityas, of course. So I'm happy to do it for you. Our friend, let me know if you're into it today. You have chosen Dual Set. I don't think I've done a reading for Dual Set. Either that or I just haven't done it for a long, long time. My friend Dual Set, who is a longtime member of our channel and hanging out for a long time. How are you doing, Dual Set? Are you here with us? I need to start looking for echo here in these particular readings today. Dual Set, I wasn't sure if you were intending on getting a reading today. You did just say hello. Let me know if you are here and present. Hello, Dual Set. Dual Set, would you like a reading today? You have been chosen. I'm also curious if I've ever done a reading for you. Again, if it's okay, awesome. You don't owe me nothing, Dual Set. You are volunteering yourself, your time, your presence for a reading for my astrology community. So you don't owe me nothing, buddy. Now, thank you very much, Dual Set. You have been chosen. Congratulations. Now, before we start, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Dual Set, let me know your birth time. You can either do it on the chat or you can send me an email. Okay, cool. You want to know more about the Adityas? Perfect. You are in the right place. You're about to get a dose of what is happening in this Adityas world. There is lots there. So, yeah, Dual Set, let me know if you'd like to put your birth time. You can just put it right into the chat if you feel like it. Some people don't prefer that. So if you would rather just email me, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com. Or you can just dunk it right into the, you can just dunk it right into the chat if you like. And we are going to finally get started with our first reading of the day. And of course today, folks, we will be showing a little bit of the classical Tropical Vedic chart. Thanks, Dual Set. I swear I have done a reading for you. Tarlac, Philippines. Either that or the Tarlac, Philippines is just a big spot. Okay. May. Are you guys? Am I? All right. So, Dual Set, let me know if you identify with any particular pronouns, whether it's male or female or anything in between, or if any of that is relevant and worth speaking to you. Feel free to let me know. These days, it's good to ask and not assume. I thought that I did. I know that I've done a reading for you, Dual Set, which is nice because now we're going to see the same reading of yours in the Adityas circle. Okay, 8:30 in the morning. We got a morning child. And that's she. Okay, thank you, Dual Set. She is a she. Philippines. Tarlac. So there's Tarlac, and then there's Tarlac Laguna. Probably they're pretty close, so it's probably not going to make too much of a difference. I'm going to say Tarlac. Let me know if that's incorrect. Let me just see if that's going to make a difference. Tarlac Laguna. No, pretty similar. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to our round wheel. All right. So this is Tarlac's Tropical Vedic chart. Tarlac, excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. This is Dulcet's Tropical Vedic chart. And we see that we have a nice Jupiter in the first house. Now, when I do these readings today, folks, I'm going to be starting off. Let's just do a quick little word here because I got to go to the bathroom before we start anyway. So in today's readings, what we're going to do is we're going to start off looking at the Tropical Vedic astrology chart that we all know, that we recognize. And we're going to look at the things that are relevant in the Adityas system, because we know that we're going to use a different archetypal symbols with the Adityas. So what we're going to want to transfer over is we're going to look in the Tropical Vedic astrology chart. We're going to look at some basic chart stuff that carries over to the Adityas. We're going to look at the Atmakaraka. We'll look at the nodes in the houses and any just general big houses in the chart. We're going to look at important conjunctions. We might look at the house with the highest prana, which is the most planets inside it. And then we're going to look at the Nabasa yogas. We're going to spend a bit of time doing that, and then we are going to switch to the Adityas. Now, before we do so, let's do a little bathroom break. I'm going to go number 1, which is the quick one. And then we're going to come back, we're going to set up our timer, and we're going to get started today. So I'll see you guys in just a moment, and when we come back, we're going to do our first reading of the day. Sweet. Smells like nice incense in here. Okay. All right. We're all ready to tune in. Now that I got my cool kid glasses on, we're ready to make some magic happen. Okay. Let's start rolling here. It's 10:45. I'm going to put a timer on. I'm going to get cozy. And we're going to begin our first reading of the day. I'm going to put our timer on for a half an hour, but it's probably going to take longer than that. Now, when we practiced last week, I tried to make it so that we were in good time. And I'm going to try to do that today as well. It went really long last time. We're already 45 minutes in, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet for the Tropical Vedic thing. And we're going to try to spend as much time on the Adityas as possible, because the Adityas is where I'm going with my work and my practice. So, we've started our timer. let's take a look at our friend Dual Set's chart and see what we got here. Now, this is the Tropical Vedic zodiac that we are used to seeing. 1990 had Jupiter around this sign here of Cancer. We're going to see that translate to a different sign when we get into the Adityas. Now, here we have Jupiter in the first house. Right away, that's a very good, very special, very important signification. We also see, we're going to actually see that there's a great Sasha yoga happening here. And this is Saturn in its own sign in the 7th house, where it loves to be. 1990 had Jupiter and Saturn opposite in these signs. It's a very powerful thing going on here. Very auspicious, to say the very least. And, of course, let's see what else we have here. We have Sun and Mercury. Are they combust? Wow, this is a spanking chart. Already I can see this is just a beauty chart. You know, I don't always use that language, but there's a few things that stand out to me. We have a nice Buddhi yoga with the Sun and Mercury in the 11th house, which is interesting. The Sun likes to be closer to the 10th house. Mercury likes to be closer to the 1st house, just like Jupiter. So Jupiter and Mercury are already looking like they got good Digbala. Mercury's got good Digbala. Jupiter has perfect Digbala. And the Sun has great Digbala. And Saturn has great Digbala. And Mars has great Digbala. So Mars here in the 9th house. This is just a spanking crazy chart. The Moon is in the 9th house with Mars. So let's see. We're going to start talking about Nabasa yogas. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got another fiver here, folks. So we have 2 conjunctions in this chart, which means the planets are falling into 5 signs. And we might just start there. Let me just check my list of basics chart stuff. The Sun is the Atmakaraka. Wow, that's going to... Wow. We're going to see how that's incredible for this person. Yeah, this is a spanking chart. This person is Indra rising, which we're going to see when we go to the Adityas. And having the Sun nicely placed in the... And it's the rising. Yeah, we'll get there when we get to the Adityas. But we have Sun Atmakaraka. Can you guys see me? I really hope so. Good. The Sun is the Atmakaraka, and that is making the Sun very important in this chart. We have the nodes. We have K2 in the 2nd house. Now, it's not going to be in Leo anymore, so it's not going to have as much relevance as it might have once done. But we have the nodes in the 2nd and 8th house axis. We have 2 conjunctions. We have a Buddhi yoga in the 11th house of Sun and Mercury, and Mercury is not combust, which is blessed because Mercury has the Sun for a friend. So that's really helping this Mercury out, which is going to be very good for the nodes, as we're going to see in the Adityas chart. And we have Chandra Mangala yoga. That's the Moon and Mars in the 9th house. That's nice. It looks to me... Yeah, so that's cool. Now let's take a quick look at our Nabasa yogas, right? The Nabasa yogas represent foundational bricks in the structure of classical Jyotisha. They're mentioned first in a lot of old texts, and they have to do with the shape of planet arrangements. This is what I was talking about with, like, some people have bowl charts. Some people have all the chart planets on one side. We actually have this with this chart. We have a bowl chart here. Technically, most of the planets are on the upper, above the horizon. Technically, they all are. Jupiter is right on the cusp, which is of the 1st house, which is actually just a beautiful thing. This is just a beautiful, like, there's a beauty there when you have a benefic right on the cusp like that. Jupiter especially is probably a beautiful person. So Let's take a quick peek at some of the key Nabasa yogas happening here. We're not going to mention the first one until we get to the Adityas, because in the Adityas, the signs change. So we're going to talk about that when we get there. For now, we're going to talk about what's called the Dala, the petal yogas. And these are two specific yogas formed by either benefics or malefics, falling into angles. So a Dala is a small leaf or a petal as it unfolds. So life, according to this yoga, life unfolds either smoothly or with difficulty. There's strength to both of these, because remember, the malefics are not all bad. There's a strength that can happen from both of these available yogas, but they're a little different. So you either have Mala yoga when you have benefics in the angles, or you have Sarpa yoga by having malefics in the angles. So let's take a peek here. In this chart, we have one benefic in the first house, one benefic, that's Venus. That's actually a pop in Venus too. Damn, this is a crazy chart. Okay, you guys are going to see what I mean when we get to the Adityas. It's pretty cool. This is a great chart. I'm fangirling over you, dual set. Venus is in an angle and Jupiter is in an angle. So that's two benefics in angles. Now we have Saturn in an angle as well. Even though Saturn is well placed, we do still have one malefic and two benefics. Technically, that is more malefics. More benefics. Excuse me. Blah, blah, me and my words. So when we have more benefics than malefics in the angles, we have what's called Mala, rosary yoga. Mala is like, I'm wearing my malas today. Didn't even plan it. Voila. A mala is like prayer beads. I love these things. I use them all the time. It's one of my greatest methods of meditative Kriya Yoga. Lets you let go of the world and focus on consciousness. And a mala yoga is kind of a similar thing. It allows you to, through the grace and goodness of the benefics, you are not distracted, your energy is not scattered, and you are enjoying the good focus that comes from benefics in angles. Because benefics and angles are attracting good, positive things. Life's full of good things. Unfoldment of good results from karmas occurs. Life unfolds smoothly. There's a support in endeavors. People sense this yoga in you. It's a bit of a guardian angel energy. So yes, Robbie, you got it, my friend. She primarily has Mala yoga. Now our next one is Sankhya. And this is 7 possible yogas that give effects to the number of total signs or rashis or adityas that all the planets are placed in. So again, we know that we have 2 conjunctions in this chart, which means that's, however you dice or slice it. We have Jupiter in one sign, Saturn in the second sign, Moon and Mars in another sign, that's 3, Venus is in one, that's 4, and then Sun and Mercury are in another sign, that's 5 signs. So here we have what is called the Pasa, and this is called the Noose yoga. And this is a yoga that can be for better or for worse. All the other ones tend to be generally good, except for the rare yogas when we have planets in 1, 2, or 3 signs. This Noose yoga can go one way or the other depending on how Jupiter is. And if Jupiter is well placed in a Pasa yoga chart, then it's going to amplify the goodness as well. You have to think a noose, it sounds scary, but what it is, it's a noose, a snare, a bond, a chain, or anything that binds the soul in the outer material world. Particularly, this refers to the noose as an attribute of Shiva or Yama. You can think of it in many different ways, but the noose, it's not intended to be such a bad, damning thing. What it really can mean is that this is something that binds us to a commitment in the material world. We find ourselves getting committed to something, to things, and whatever we attract as our commitment is going to be the factor that amplifies whatever's going on with Jupiter. So if Jupiter is doing well in the signs and in the Navamsha, this person will have knowledge, wisdom, and good fortune to help choose the highest and best path. I would say, so far from what we can see, this Jupiter is looking good. We need to peek at the Adityas to really get a sense of what is going on with this Jupiter. So remember, folks, this is a key numerology thing in astrology. This is what the Nabasa yogas, the formations, are telling us. When you have planets in 5 signs, that's going to give an importance to the planet that resonates with number 5. In this case, that's Jupiter. So however Jupiter is doing is going to say a lot about this person. It's interesting that this person has Jupiter, which is their Sankhya Yoga number, their Sankhya Yoga planet, in their first house. They're really radiating. There's a lot of eggs in the Jupiter basket in this chart, and hopefully it goes well. I think you guys are going to find that it is doing well, just based on the fact that it's in the first house and the sign that it's in. Let's now finally, we can see all of these things that are going on in the Tropical Vedic chart. Let's now actually have some fun and go into our first exploration of the Aditya circle for this chart. And we are going to the Aditya zodiac. So just for everybody's reference, this is the South Indian chart. It spins clockwise. We can see Indra here, which is the fixed fire sign, is the new rising sign. You can see the rising sign is here, and Jupiter is there in the rising sign. We see Saturn is over here in the opposite place, in the 7th house from the rising sign. Saturn is in the part of the circle that Saturn owns. Just like the root chakra in Tropical Vedic Astrology, Saturn owns Bhagha and Pushan. So here we have a Saturn that is in the 7th house in its own sign of Pushan. That is what we would call Sasha Yoga. And that is going to bring some pain, but it's ultimately a very wonderful... I would have talked with you about this Sasha Yoga in our previous reading, for sure. Because you also have it in Tropical Vedic Astrology. This is Saturn in its own sign. Technically, it's in Mula Trikona, actually. It's in its own sign, and it's in an angle. In this case, it's in the 7th house, which is the best place for Saturn to be. So this Saturn has some absolutely spanking yoga power. We also have a Jupiter with absolutely just bristling with yoga power. Same thing with Mercury, same thing with Mars, and even the Sun is doing well for yoga power. This is an OP chart. It doesn't often happen this way. The shod ball is looking just fine. Jupiter is just flying off the page. Jupiter is probably the strongest planet for this person. I would say definitely, actually. By Shadbala for sure. Yeah. So Jupiter and Saturn are both giving some crazy luck to this person. And Jupiter, it's just an amazing thing that Jupiter's doing so well for this person. And I'm just going to say this quick because, it's just cool to see this kind of stuff. So remember we were talking about the Pasa, Noose Yoga. This is because we have planets falling in 5 signs of the classical planets. Remember, not the outer planets, not the nodes, not the asteroids. Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. 7 planets. They're falling into 5 signs, which means the planet related to number 5 is going to be a load-bearing wall. Lots of eggs in the Jupiter basket. And if Jupiter's doing well, this person's going to do very well. If Jupiter's not doing well, the person is going to very much not do well. Jupiter needs to be well disposed in the Rashi chart and the Navamsha in particular. That's what most of the texts will give about this Jupiter, about the Nabasa yogas, the Sankhya yoga. So we have Jupiter with all this great yoga power, and it is in fact in the sign of Varuna, in the Navamsha. And that is where Jupiter is exalted. So this is a pop in Jupiter, as I said. I don't often I'm really blushing on this chart because it's got lots of good stuff happening. So we have a Sasha Yoga, which can actually be painful. Yeah, there's a spark in the eyes for this person for sure, Susan. With this Jupiter being the way it is. Now, Saturn is teaching a lot. You are 36 years old, dual set. So you will have just experienced the maturation of Saturn. Saturn would be teaching a lot right now for you. Let's just say this for the moment, especially considering that Saturn matures for everybody at age 35. And with Saturn carrying what it does in your chart, it rules the 6th house and the 7th house. That's the way Indra rising is. Indra rising is ruled by the sun, and it is opposite Pushan. So Bhaga rules the 6th house, Pushan rules the 7th house for an Indra rising. So this Saturn just came into maturation. Plus, of course, Saturn is also not only holding Neptune and Uranus, but it's actually conjunct Neptune and Uranus. Dual set. Have you got Sadhisati going on? Yes, you do. Yes. Okay. So you're almost done Sadhisati, which is a nice thing. Saturn is currently transiting the sign of Aryama, where your Venus is. So your Sadhisati has been probably happening since 2026, 2023, probably since 2021. (2022, 2021), around there. So you've been going through Sadhisati, which is, yes, you're correct, a very Saturnian thing. Now, Saturn is in Aryaman. It's at the end of the, you've gone through the bulk of this Sadhisati. I mean, your moon is at the very end of its sign, which means you're still in Sadhisati. You're still there. You still got Saturn pretty close to your moon. It's probably going to be another, probably not till 2028-ish that Saturn gets into the sign of Mitra. And then your Sadhisati will be completely done. So you are still going through it. And your Saturn just matured. So yeah, you got a lot on your plate right now. Lots of Saturn stuff happening. I'm just poking around, seeing what else I could see related to this. Because those would be big, huge things. That's what I would usually focus on in a reading like this, is these particular transits. As well, of course, we could also always look at the dashas. I'm skewed in my sense of the dashas. I don't even use them too much because I need to study and research which ayanamsha I'm really feeling comfortable with. So lately, I haven't been even going into the dashas too much. That being said, in this natal chart, we've got lots of great things happening. We've got Mars in its own sign, Venus in its own sign, Mercury in its own sign. The Sun and Mercury are conjunct but not combust, which means that Mercury has what's called Buddhi Yoga. So even Mercury has just got some great stuff going on here in the 11th house. So at age 35, really you're at age 36, Saturn has just matured. You're probably coming into the first scent of Rahu really opening up inside of this chart. You are in the generation, you are in the time period where people had the south node in Vivishvan, which is ruled by Mercury, in your second house. And the north node is in Parjanya, which is the 8th house for Indra rising. It's funny, you have you're born on pretty much the same day, just one day before, with the same rising sign as my brother. So I can really see a huge resonance in your chart with his. but you've got your slightly different things going on. But it's a great chart. So what's really nice is that the axis of Vivishvan in Parjanya is, okay, you're feeling blessed after being whipped. There's obviously important things happening for you right now. All things considered, you will be entering your Jupiter. Let's see, let me think for a moment. At 36 years old, yeah, you are going through your Jupiter return at age 36. Jupiter is going through your rising sign, both of which are, starts of new cycles. Guru is going to be kind of peppering around, stomping around in your chart. Now, if you're anything like my brother, see, you would be different because my brother's got Saturn Atmakaraka. But you have the Sun Atmakaraka, which is different. So for you, having the Sun as your Atmakaraka, this Jupiter visiting your first house of Indra. Remember, the Sun rules Indra. So that's a very important thing. You probably have a very deep revolutionary change in the guidance towards the path that you are seeking to follow in your life right now. Jupiter is in your rising sign, and the rising sign is ruled by the Sun, and the Sun is your Atmakaraka. So Jupiter's work can be kind of painful, especially because Jupiter is the ruler of Pasa Yoga, the Noose Yoga, right? So you might even feel, in fact, that you're getting, let's just have a moment here to speak to this. You got lots of Jupiter stuff happening at the moment. Because you are Pasa Yoga, the noose, you might find yourself getting roped into specific new life changes and goals right now. As an astrologer, it's almost a spicy thing for me to say this. But you've totally got Jupiter on your side according to the system that we are dealing with here. Now, everybody has to pay attention. Everyone has to read the Romans in their own little ways. You've got, for you, like, I totally don't worry about you at all because you've got Sasha Yoga. That's Saturn. Saturn is Sasha Yoga. You got a nicely placed Saturn. Saturn is the rabbit. That's why we call it Sasha. Sasha means that when you've got a Sasha Yoga, it's Saturn in its own happy place in its own sign or its exaltation sign. And it's in an angle. That means that you're like a rabbit. As I always say, the rabbit always has 3 holes dug. Something happens, it's somebody who's willing to work and who doesn't get mixed up in stupid shit that's ultimately going to screw them over. My brother's, he's a year older than me, and he lives by funny little phrases. He's a very wise fellow, even though he can be very down to earth. But there's a phrase, I think it's from Robert De Niro in one of his movies. Don't ever get yourself into a situation that you can't get out of. Don't put yourself into situations that you cannot get out of. Saturn, a good Saturn, will not do that. A good Saturn always has 3 holes dug. That's the rabbit. You can't catch the rabbit. You catch a rabbit, that's why they say a rabbit's foot is lucky. It's a little bit, what's the word? Morbid or whatever, but that's why they call the rabbit's foot lucky. You have to be really lucky to catch a rabbit because they know how to dart and they always have a plan. They always have a way out. They never get themselves in situations they can't get out of. A fox sniffs the rabbit, sees the rabbit goes into its hole. The rabbit's perfectly sized to just go right through that hole. And as soon as it pops out the other side, it took the fox a little bit to get through. The fox finally comes through the other side of the hole. And it looks around, where's the rabbit gone? Well, the rabbit has cleverly, out of that side of that hole, he's also dug another 3 holes. As soon as the fox goes up, which one of the holes did the rabbit go into? He's got to guess. So he'll go into the hole on the right, and he pops out and there's another 3 holes. The rabbit's always got plans in case anything ever gets screwed over. That's Sasha. So Saturn is going to make sure that you never ultimately put yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. Shani, It's the greatness of Saturn. It's a very special thing. So that being said, as an astrologer, I don't feel bad about telling you that you are in a revolutionary Jupiter moment in your life. And I think, dual set, you would be well served to keep your eyes and ears and nose, and ears specifically, that's a Jupiter thing. Keep your ear out for Guru. Guru is around you. It's sniffing around your area. And it's in the form of teachers who are, possibly particularly men, especially because Jupiter is here in Indra, which is a fiery sign, a male sign. There might be men in your life who have been spending their lives, like you got to think Guru is like the father. It's like, and it rules children. Why do we have children? It's because we've done something for so long. We have all this knowledge, this wisdom about this thing. We don't want it to go to waste. We got these seeds. We don't want them to go to waste. So we want to plant those seeds in soil that are going to appreciate and grow and make my existence valid. If I'm a dad, I got all this knowledge, and if I don't share it, if I don't progenerate it, if I don't gift it to a child or to students, then all of my knowledge will have been in vain. Fun for me, but it's not in vain because Jupiter loves to do what it does, even if nobody ever learns from it, even if nobody receives that seed. But there are people who sense that you have the ear to receive their seed, their knowledge, their wisdom, their guidance. An unexpected pregnancy occurred. Wow. Okay. Well, congratulations, dual set. All right, so that's definitely going to be a child thing. Having a child is a child thing. So that's definitely some Jupiter in your life. Now, I don't know your situation with this unexpected pregnancy that you're talking about. If you'd like to ask about it, I'm happy to talk about it in this moment. So there's definitely Jupiter energy afoot in your life. Now, of course, if you're having a child, it's always good to have the situation with the person with the pregnancy involved. It's nice if you can be in a proper relationship where you can have somebody who's going to be with you about it. Thank you, dual set. Now, are you in a relationship? Are you a solo mother, or is this something that's unfolding as a relationship? Again, I should say, this is a public forum, so if there's anything you don't want to talk about, you don't have to. But what I'll say in the moment is that this is some very Jupiter energy. Having a child, having a pregnancy, whatever you choose to do with it is Jupiterian. But remember that the ethics of having a child is a very personal thing. So for your sake, you are the one who needs to know what's best for you in this situation. It's a lot better now than the last time we talked. Yes, you're married. Okay, cool. Awesome. Dual set. Wonderful. And your situation is a lot better than the last time we talked. I think I remember you having a bit of a harder go. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing much better. Having a child now is probably, I'm going to say it, I feel like it's a very good thing. I think the universe is going to guide you in this childbirth. I think that, take it from an astrologer, but to have a child in this moment while Jupiter is where it is a good and blessed thing. What would be nice is to know if the child themselves is going to have Jupiter also in Indra. That's what I'm trying to say. I wonder if I can figure out animated transits, search transits, blah. I never use transits on Kala. Animated transits. Transits calendar. Where is Susan's looking at me like I never use this thing, and she would probably be able to tell me what's going on here. Oh. So that's our 30 minutes, but that's okay. This is a good reading. This is for dual set. Let's just take a minute to work out what we can here. What I'd like to know is, where is Jupiter currently? Okay. I don't know which one's which here. I don't know if this is the outer wheel. I think we must be in the hour of Leo right now. So the inner, it looks like the inner one. Okay. Yeah. So the inside thing is the natal chart. The outside one is the wheel. Now, if we go up 1 month, all right. Oh, wow. Jupiter's almost in Vivishvan already. Let's say by... I'm going to be with you guys in a moment. I just got to corroborate my brain. June 24th, around June 24th, Jupiter is basically entering Parjanya. It's actually going to be in particular... June 30th, just before July, Jupiter is officially entering Vivishvan, not Parjanya. All right, I got to get my brain together here. So I'm going to go back to our main screen. So by around July 1st, Jupiter is going to enter the next sign of Vivishvan. And that'll mean different things for the child. 11 years old. Thank you so much. Awesome. Okay, so let me ground myself here again, because it is nice to know that you have some very positive energy going towards this birth of your child right now. The intention going in seems to me, according to astrology, to have some very positive guru energy. Now, you have to feel this out yourself, but I'm sure you will feel that this is a positive thing. What's interesting for yourself as a mama, dual set, God has other plans. Let's do that while figuring Kriya Yoga. Very cool. Now, you have mentioned... Aha! I thought you guys were... As usual, I've got to learn so that you guys can see what I'm looking at, but that's okay. So, it's nice to see, dual set, that you're having a child at this time. This child, in the time that you are having this child, there is an auspicious blessing of Jupiter in its conception. And that is a very nice thing. Of course, you are also going through Saturn energy right now. The good news is that while you have, once Jupiter is out of once Saturn is in Mitra, the next sign over, and you're out of Sadhisati, you're going to have a little bit less emotional constriction and monetary abundance constriction. Right now, Saturn is going through this abundance thing. It seems to me like, if I'm just going to come right out and say what is on my mind... Hello, elephant and cat. Nice to see you, darling. You're feeling the restriction and constriction of Sadhisati, because Saturn is very close to your moon in transit right now. So keep in mind that part of the outset of this birth for your child, you might be feeling a little bit of nervousness because do we have enough money, etc. You might also be feeling, I'm going to say this, dual set, be conscious at this time. Kriya Yoga would be good for you. What would be good is to recognize as a mother, when Saturn is going over your moon, that you might have a very deep, like if there's things going on in your relationship and in your emotional life that you have prompted this childbirth in some ways to be to replace emotional healing, you want to be careful that you don't latch too much purple, dark. This child is going to love me. No one else loves me as much as this child is going to. There's a beauty to, you can never love a child too much, but you need to have some love for yourself. Make sure that you're grounded in your relationships right now so that you don't accidentally spill some of that purple energy, that desirous energy, that lack of emotional energy into the child. Kriya Yoga would be good for you right now because it can allow you to objectify your emotional energies. You can bring energy from the root up to your third eye and then back down, and you can see when the motherhood energy, the energies of Sati Sati right now are challenging you to be mature about what you need in your emotional relationships. And if you just give all of that to your child without fastening it, this is an important window. So remember, Saturn works the way it does for a reason, everybody. Saturn constricts things. It's better to say, it's like going to the bathroom. That's what I always say about Saturn. Why do we go to the bathroom? Because it's out with the bad, in with the good. We excrete. We let go of the things that don't work in order that we can come into the things that do work. So when Saturn comes along, it's a good thing. Whatever's going on in your emotional world that is feeling like, I feel like I could be loved more, if this is the case, if you feel like you could be loved more by your husband, by your friends, if you could achieve more emotional peace at your job, especially because this is all happening really at the kind of more at the top of your chart here, dual set. As Indra rising, it means you've got Pushan in the 7th house, Parjanya in the 8th house, and then this Mars and Moon are in the 9th house. So the Moon is very close to the 10th house cusp. Saturn is in your 10th house. So right now, it's important to consider and just be aware that you're not sublimating emotional work that you can do yourself into this child. You're not very emotional right now, even with Mars and Moon, more on discipline with work and time. Not very emotional right now, more on discipline with work and time. You should be emotional right now. Well, probably what's better to say is that whatever emotions you are having right now should be free-flowing. You should have a safe space as a woman. Ideally, you should be able to call in from the universe the safe, protective environment that you need to be exactly as emotional as you feel is natural. That's the best thing a mother can do, is to be herself. Emotionally, especially. You feel like crying, you should be able to communicate, and you shouldn't even need to communicate. The ideal thing is that the man in your life and the people in your life, the culture, the friends and family around you, should know, ideally, it takes a village to raise a child. And when the mother is having an emotional moment, it's actually a beautiful thing. Our emotions are one of our greatest powers, especially for women. So you should be able to be emotional. You should be able to be freely, openly from your heart exactly what you want to be and say and do in any moment that you need to. And if you don't feel that way, you need to use Guru. You need to use the Jupiter auspiciousness right now, because the world is hearing you right now. You're particularly ripe for communicating what you need in this moment. And I think the universe is making this happen for you in order for you to trust that. You're calm most of the time, especially when you're with nature. That's awesome. It's good for you to commune with nature, especially with the Saturn that you have going through Sati Sati. When Saturn is coming through the moon is receptive to whatever planet it's kind of moving through. Saturn is all about nature. It's about being as natural as possible. So this is a good time and a good moment for you, dual set, to connect with nature as much as you can. But remember, honey, I think it's important for you to know that the universe is listening to you. And if you have any emotional needs that you need to feel supported, even if you feel like you're just walking the dog with it, even if you are just talking with your husband and saying, hey, I'm pregnant right now, I'm preggo, and I would just like to exercise our capacity to feel like I'm in communication with you when it's needed. Doing this with your friends, your girlfriends. Hey, girls, I just want to like call somebody and just exist with somebody and be able to feel like when I call somebody that they'll be here for me. Exercising. Maybe after childbirth, be more emotional. Well, remember, emotions are not a bad thing, dual set. That's important for you to recognize, because I know if I'm reading you correctly, yeah, hey, I'm a Kriya yogi. I love Kriya yoga. It's very special. And we are objectifying our indriyas when we do Kriya yoga. We have biological energies. We have metaphysical energies, spiritual soul energies that are here before we're even male or female in this body. We might have soul energies, that is Indra, that is the true soul trying to do its thing. But we also have biological energies. Indra moves through the body of a woman in this incarnation for you. And part of what Kriya Yoga is all about is seeing it all as one, and seeing it all as understanding it and feeling it in our experience in a way that nobody else can see or feel. The thing with things like Kriya Yoga, it's easy to get wrapped up in controlling emotions. The true yoga, if you really want to understand the depth, the essence of yoga, it's at the center between surrender and control. Surrender is the yin. I want to surrender. I want to release to the universe and to God's will. Control is the yang. I want to not waste my life. I want to spend my time doing tapas, doing discipline, showing God that I'm worthy by acting in accord with his will in a conscious way. There's surrender and there's control. Between that two is the ultimate controlled surrender, the Zen experience. And a lot of the times the best way to do that is to listen to the moment, listen to your body, because your body has all that you need inside of it. And if you're trying to control your emotions at this time, it's very good to be conscious of the fact that your emotions will be properly controlled if you let them flow. Especially while you're pregnant as a mother, you already know, because I think you've already had kids. Your emotions are flowing through you, and it's a good and natural thing for you as a mother to feel those things. Practice your Kriya Yoga. Be out in nature. And remember to garner the support that you need around you for when you feel emotional. Because this is sadhisati. This is the moment where Saturn's going over your moon. The universe is going to bring opportunities for you to crack through the heart's crystallization. So you can be heart opened. You can ask for what you need. Being pregnant is really a perfect sadhisati thing, because it forces you to be emotional, to ask support for when you need it. So you can focus on the true love for your son. Not on an emotional, I'm not getting enough from everybody, so I need to give it. I need to get it from my son because my son needs me. You're going to get a sense of love from your son, but you want to make sure that it's a clean and pure love. And the only way to do that is to love yourself, and to make sure all your own emotional boxes are checked. That way, you're going to get the pure blessing of Guru for your child in this moment, and it won't be unduly afflicted by sadhisati in the early part of your son's life. Don't be afraid. I have nothing but good feelings for you and what you've got going on here, dual set. You got a blessed chart, honey, so I have no fear, and I know you hear me, and I know you got a good Jupiter and that you're listening. Follow through with your Kriya Yoga, and remember also, Kriya Yoga is a very Ram thing. Don't forget Sitaram. Sitaram is your body. Sitaram is your goddess energy as a woman. There are things that intelligences inside of your body, inside of your soul, that you need to listen to. Our spirit and our body is like a husband and a wife. And the husband has all this will to do these incredible things. He needs to listen to his wife. The spirit needs to listen to the body, or else his will means nothing. And I'm glad I could put this way. In the Adityas chart, you got great things going on here, dual set. And I think that this is an auspicious time for you. If we're right about, you being in Ketu yoga, Mahadasha, it's likely the case that you'll experience a certain vibration with this period. I'm not going to talk about the Mahadashas too much because I still have to work through my ideas of the Mahadashas. But you're going to have the nodes are going to be back to their original positions in a month. In a few months. I think by around July or August of 2026, the nodes are going to come into the axis of Parjanya and Vivishvan, and that's going to operate then, bringing some necessary energy back to those nodes, including your second house. The second house is, again, your resources. You're feeling erotically and emotionally abundant. So as time goes on, that will open up. That axis, your second and eighth house axis, is going to be exacerbated, charged, and brought into some realization. What's nice in this chart is because Vivishvan is ruled by Mercury, and your Mercury's spanking. You can communicate and do what you need to do to get your second house strong. The eighth house, Jupiter, is also the eighth house is Parjanya, ruled by Jupiter. It's also spanking in this chart. Jupiter and Mercury both operate through listening. Mercury actually operates through smell. So being clean with your finances, being clean with your second house, treating your finances truly, doing your taxes or whatever other stuff that you need to do with money. You don't want to over obsess with it, but you also don't want to undercut it. And that's classic stuff with the Vivishvan and Parjanya axis with the nodes here. So, there's always so much more I could say about every chart. But for now, for the moment, I hope that this has been good for you, dual set. I do want to make sure that I give at least one more person a chance here. It's been a long go today already. But dual set, I'm happy to have done this reading for you. Every time I look at your chart, I'm like, oh wow, man, I feel good just talking about this chart. So, there's probably more to even be said. So anytime you want to do a reading like this again, dual set, pop in. I'm not afraid to read your chart again. It's a great example of many of the things that we can talk about and make use of in Tropical Vedic Astrology. And it was nice to give it an Adityas reading today. Yeah, I know, Ravi. It's been an hour and a half. Okay, dual set, thank you very much, and let's all give dual set a nice little round of applause. Yes, very well done. Nice golfer's clap, yes. Very good, dual set. Thank you so much for volunteering your time and volunteering your chart. We didn't even get to the last Nabasa yoga, but that's okay. I feel like we got into something good there with relation to your child. And I felt like everything happens for a reason with these readings. With an astrology reading, you're putting a little pool out to be reflected by the sky. So every message in a reading like this is coming from the sky, coming from the cosmos. Even me as an astrologer, we're not always going to be perfect. We're always going to say exactly what needs to be said. But even what we say is reflecting the stars in the sky in the moment. So this is why we as astrologers, we give peace and love and blessings to Ganesha, because the opportunity we create to receive reverberations from the universe our human ears are always going to get distortions and echo, but at least we are putting our ear out. We're putting our elephant ears out and giving a gesture of faith that what's happening in the universe is exactly what's supposed to be happening. And we are listening to the lover, the beloved, the cosmic beloved. And thank you, Dual Set, for giving us an opportunity to do that. Now, there is so much in astrology. A lot of the times especially when I do do a paid reading, I spend a lot of time reading the chart beforehand and carve into a lot. When we do these readings, I'm teaching while I'm doing things. And it's cool, my friend Susan Smoddy is here. There's so much that Ernst Wilhelm is unfolding in his present teachings that I am hardly scratching right now. I am going to eventually, but those of you watching me on my channel right now, we're just doing basic stuff. We're just talking about all the things that I have talked about as a Tropical Vedic astrologer, the nodes, important transits like Sati Sati, that took up a huge part of our reading today. And we are going to do another reading in a moment once I stop enjoying the sound of my own voice. We are working through the basics with the Adityas right now. There's so much more to it, but we have to start here, even for my own sake, because it's never a bad thing to ground yourself in the foundations of astrology. But as time goes on, we will eventually getting into lots of the things that are being offered in the Adityas world. Now, we have 13, 14 or so people hanging out with us today. And for those who are watching and those who are interested, I'm always liking to, I should do this for myself. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Now I always put my little PayPal link in here if you want to buy me a coffee, if you want to send me a tip. Please feel free. Tips are always appreciated but never expected. Ultimately, I am happy and lucky to be, I get to practice my craft and I get to get myself out here. I get people seeing my face with my hippie look and my bandana. I get to look cool on screen for a little while. And I get to get my voice heard. And I get to involve myself in the positive healing vibrations of the cosmos. But, so ultimately I appreciate you guys all being here and being a part of what I do. So, now everybody, let's do one more reading. If I feel like it, maybe we'll do a third. We'll see. I've already taken quite a bit of time with our readings today. Now, I'm looking at all of our people who are... Yeah, I think we should do this, because I do like to do this. Let's do a channel members reading. Because I do like to avail myself to everybody for these readings. But my channel members are helping me to do what I'm doing. And so this is why, if you feel like being a channel member, contributing to the channel, then you will occasionally get moments like this where if you've got one of these little seeds, one of these little plants beside your name, you will get a, what would you call it? Preferential reading. This next reading is going to be for a channel member. My friend Elephant and Cat is here, and she just recently joined as a channel member. Ksenia, I know that we did you the other day, but I'm still very happy to have you hanging out. Dual Set was in fact also a channel member. It's nice to have given you that reading. Hello, Ronak. Nice to see you here with us. Now, also we had another member here, and I'm trying to see who it was. Insomnia Blues. So it looks like Robbie and Elephant and Cat and Insomnia Blues are the folks who would get a chance at a reading. So let's do a quick little, let's do a roll call. Who are my channel members who are here today? And if anybody's interested, you know, it is not too hard to join membership. It's $3 a month. And like I said, I'm going to give a little, I'm going to paste a link to the channel memberships if you should be interested in joining. Cosmofox, nice to see you, honey. I'm glad you're here as well. So, yeah, if anyone's interested, you can join channel membership. It's $3 a month. You're supporting me by joining as a member and doing what I'm doing. And you also get a chance in days like today to get a possible up in your chances of getting a reading. So we have Cosmofox, we have Elephant and Cat, and I wonder if Insomnia Blues is still here. If there's any other channel members hanging out with us today, let me know. If not, then we are going to do a little choose. Now, of course, Robbie is here as well. Robbie, there are some times when you are always here supporting me. You are probably one of my founding. You're one of the stones that I stand on, Robbie, and I love you for it. Now, Robbie, there's times where you often will avail yourself to let the other people have a chance and have a turn, and I love you for that as well. But Robbie, I don't think I've done, I think I might have done a bit of a reading for you at some point, but I'm happy to include you in this if you feel like it. Good. All right, so we got Robbie. If I'm reading it correct, Robbie, let me know if you're interested in a reading. We got Robbie. We got Elephant and Cat. We have Cosmofox. We did in a reading last stream. Okay. All right, Robbie. As time goes on, I will be more than happy to have you on here again to do more. You know, even Ksenia, it's the same thing. You know, these readings can always go deeper, but I appreciate you guys giving others the space and chance, because I'd love to give Elephant and Cat a try as well as Cosmofox. If there's no other channel members here, then it looks like our friends Elephant and Cat and Cosmofox are going to be our next possible victims of our next astrology reading. So, again, for those watching who are just joining in, we are about to choose our next contestant on the show. We are about to choose our next free reading. We're particularly inviting channel members to have their chart read today. Well, in this next reading. Our first one was free for everybody. Now we are going to open it to channel members. And yes, the suspense is real. I know. I always milk it, don't I? I almost feel like I should go to the bathroom first, and then maybe I'll come back and announce the channel members thing one more time, and then we will pick. So I think that's what I'm going to do. If anybody's watching and you want to be a channel member, feel free to click the little YouTube link that I just put in the chat box, and you will get a chance today to be a part of this channel members specific reading. For now, let's do a bathroom. I'm going to be right back, and when I come back, we're going to pick our next reading for the day. So I'll see you guys in just a hot minute. Hola, people. Welcome, all those who be hanging and chilling. Oh, it's gonna be nice to get my actual computer back. Also, I need a hair trim. That's why I'm wearing the bandana, really. It's too much right now. I mean, I love having long hair, and I love it when it's a lot, but I get it, like, layered by a lady. And I've been up in my cottage writing, which, by the way, it's probably a good thing for me to say. Thanks, Elephant and Cat. I am excited to have announced the re-release of a poetry book that I have happening. And if anybody here is enjoying and watching my channel and feels like supporting me, gosh, I gotta get this thing now. I gotta get all my shit together before I do my things. If you feel like supporting me in a very easygoing way, I have just announced the re-release of my poetry book. And what is very nice is to, if anybody's interested in seeing this book and seeing what it is, I've just put a video about my new book that I've got. And it's always a good thing for someone like me when I'm looking for a link. For an author like me, a great way to support an author like me is to check out my book. And if you're interested in it, leaving things like, for example, on Goodreads, you can go on there and put it on your want to read list. And as well, it's really just a great thing for me to have people interested in it and checking it out. And if you're interested in it, leaving a honest review on things like Amazon, where I think I'm going to sell it, as well as Goodreads. The more people that, put the thumbs up, give the ratings, I've got to be careful how I say this, because if you don't like it, even a thumbs down just means that you read it and checked it out. So any honest responses to my book is very happily welcomed. And it helps me out as an artist to get those things out there, especially when I finally put my book out for real. Wow, holy. So this Goodreads thing I'm trying to get out there is not what I'm looking for. My hair can be a little bit high maintenance sometimes. It's high maintenance right now when it is the way it is, being as long and kind of crazy as it is right now. Now, you guys will have to excuse me for a moment, because what I'm looking for is finding my book on Goodreads. I should have had this prepared. Let's see. I think this is the one I'm looking for. 2 people want to read. And I appreciate all patience for all you folks here. So, yeah, I'm going to have my shit together a little bit more next time I do this. But check me out on Goodreads. And as well, when the book comes out on April 28th, I'll be probably making a little announcement. And anybody who's interested, I'd be happy to share that book when it's out. I'm also doing advanced reader copies. And any love, any interest that I get on that, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com. That's okay, Cosmofox. I think we're ready to pick our next victim. I'm sorry that I'm announcing it now just as you're making your crepe, Cosmofox. But if you're here and you're listening, then that is all that you need to be doing right now. Let's now move forward. Thank you for your patience, folks, and me trying to practice my Mercury. It's one thing that I need to do my best to practice. When I open up my chart, Moon and Mercury are somehow agitated by Saturn, even though they aren't in the same sign. Okay, so Robbie is saying that there might be some funky glitching going on with Kala. So I'm going to look up my chart. It's Vivishvan. We're looking at the Lajatati Avashtas. Moon and Mercury are being agitated by Saturn. Moon and Mercury. Yeah. I think I have seen that. It's sort of, it's neutral because it's plus and minus. I kind of feel like that's because they're in Saturn's sign. Saturn is definitely not aspecting either of them at all. Yeah, that's a good question. Awesome, Cosmofox. That's an interesting question, Robbie. I've noticed that in my particular chart. The Moon and Mercury, they're not agitated by Saturn, but they would, it's weird because the Moon doesn't have Saturn for an enemy, and neither does Mercury. So it would be weird for them to be in Bugga and to have some signification here. It doesn't mess with the whole total of the signs. So yeah, Robbie, I don't know what's going on there. It's a little weird. That's me, Al. Thank you so much for your support in checking out Solipsis Eclipse. And I'm very, very glad and honored to be sharing that with you. Robbie, I don't know what is going on there. It does seem like a glitch. That doesn't happen often, but for whatever reason, it does seem to be happening with Ernst's thing here. But it's not, enough of a deterrent for me to be freaked out about it. So we can keep doing what we're doing here. Now, God damn it, folks. I had a piece of chocolate upstairs, and I was like, I don't need this right now. And now I'm back down here, and now I want it. So I'm going to go get that piece of chocolate, and then we're going to actually, you know what the heck? Just so that we got to stop the suspense. Let's pick between our two channel members, and then I'm going to go get that piece of chocolate. Now, we have 2 channel members here today who are interested and available for a reading. If we have any other people who desire to be a channel member, feel free to join now before it's too late. Or who are interested, who are channel members who are here viewing. This is a channel member. That chocolate looks pretty good, Elephant and Cat. We're picking our channel members today as our final reading for the day, because today has gone for a long one. Now, we have 2 folks. I'm going to pick a number. I'm going to say 13. Since there's only 2, it's basically eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But it depends on which person I start with. So I'm going to pick one arbitrarily, and I'm going to pick the number 13. I'm going to start here. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ladies and gentlemen, it hath been decided. It really was that quick and easy, and I could have done it like that this whole time. But I like to build the suspense. The suspense of knowing who has been chosen. You really want to know? All right, I'll show you. As long as you really want to know. All right, because it's this person. Ladies and gentlemen, the reading for today has been chosen to be our new friend, Cosma Fox. Cosma Fox, you have been chosen in our random addressed choice. Now, Elephant and Cat, my dear, I'm very glad to have you hanging out as well. And I do hope, for those who are hanging out and watching, when you get chosen, every time, I'm going to try to do a channel member reading like this, every reading that I can, because my channel members deserve it for supporting me in the way that they do. So thank you both for being here. And thank you for everybody for being here and being a part of this reading. Elephant and Cat, my dear, I'm going to have to get you on the next one. We have chosen, for the moment, our friend Cosma Fox. And thank you to you all for being here and being a part of our reading today. Now, Cosmofox, you have been chosen. Do me a favor, my friend, and let me know your birth information. You can send it either in the live chat, or you can send it to me by emailing me at astrology@dustincormier.com. And I've got that here. You came close, Elephant and Cat, you know. I almost should have just gone with it as soon as I saw that piece of chocolate. You know, I do like the system that we have here. You know, it's cool that we can kind of do this bingo card sort of like, it's this person thing. Picking a number works very well. It's good to be able to give everybody a chance, you know. But I appreciate everybody who is here and, you know, for being good sports and coming in, seeing if you can get it, and being a support to the channel with good vibes and chocolate. That's the best I could ask for. So, thank you, Cosmofox. Now I have your birth information, and yes, I have to go and get that chocolate truffle. It's just like right out my door. It'll take 1 minute. We should be reading by the hour, folks. So I'll see you guys in just a hot second. It will be worth it for me. No regrets, just more chocolate. I'm actually hanging out with my brother Sean today. Him and my dad are doing something at my brother's house. And when they're done, we're going to hang out, play some music. I'm very excited. Okay. Now I have chocolate. Now I can ground. This is our final reading of the day. And I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. There's like this cool little like truffle. It's like not like a chocolate bar. It's more like a truffle thing with like little nuts in it. It's doing me some good right now. Yeah, I liked those trivia questions. Good call, Robbie. I forgot we were doing that. We should do that. I totally forgot all about that. We were doing a thing for a while. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, that's quite correct, Cosmofox. We used to do a thing where I would do a trivia, a Tropical Vedic Astrology trivia. And whoever got the most answers during the trivia would get the free reading for the day. So I feel like we should bring that back because that was a good little system. We will. Well, eventually we'll be able to start talking about the Adityas. That would be a good way to bring us up to speed with all of the meanings of the Adityas. Fuck. That was important. I think I got 1 or 2 more bites. Let's plug in our birth info for our friend Cosmofox. Okay, Cosmofox. We have September 27th, 1985, the year of the ox. Concord, California. 8:24 a.m. Concord, California. Is that where they make Concord grape juice? I never realized that was a thing. I thought like Concord was just like a type of grape or something. Am I right about that? Is that a nerdy, silly thing to ask? Like, are you sick of hearing people asking about Concord grape juice? Damn, that was good. There are many cities named Concord. Thank you for that mature answer. Concord, there must only be one. In my fucking brain. Okay, Cosmo Fox. And everyone else who is hanging out. It is now 2 hours past our beginning point. I'm very happy to be here providing our final reading for the day. So, I think I've got everything just about started. I'm just going to put us... So remember, folks, we are teaching here about the Adityas. That is really a key main thing that we're doing with with our readings. So, in order to do that, what I've been doing is beginning with the Tropical Vedic chart. In this case, I don't know how familiar you are with your chart, Cosmofox, but I have you as a Libra rising. Maybe we should do a quick little check to make sure that all things are accounted for. September 27th, 1985 at 8:24 a.m. Concord, California. I have you as a Libra rising with the Sun and Mercury in Libra. So if that sounds correct to you in your Tropical Vedic Astrology chart, then we can move on. Now, I'm just going to say this quickly. Of course, our intention here is really to start talking about the Adityas. Yes, correct. Thank you very much, Cosmofox. We're bringing to mind the Adityas. How is it different from the Tropical Vedic Astrology chart? I think I'm done with these glasses for the moment. It was fun, but it's kind of like I never wear glasses. I feel like it was compressing my face. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is some of the similarities between the Tropical Vedic Astrology chart and the Adityas chart. The main things that we're going to see are going to be the same, are going to be the houses. The houses don't change because in the Adityas system, the signs do shift, but the houses remain the same. The Atmakarika is going to remain the same. The nodes in their houses, conjunctions that occur in the chart are going to be the same. And, of course, also the Nabasa yogas, except for one of the Nabasa yogas. There's going to be two types of Nabasa yoga. That's the Dala and the Sankhya yoga, the numbers yoga. Those are going to be the same in both systems. So we're going to check out all of these things in the Tropical Vedic chart, and then we are going to switch to the Adityas. And I'm going to do my best to squeeze all in as much of a good reading as I can within our 30-minute mark. Without further ado, Cosmo Fox Honey, I hope you're enjoying your crepe. And of course, you can Feel free to feel free to talk. You can say anything if I ask a question. If you are just so deep in that crepe that you can't answer, I'm just going to keep on rocking and rolling. We're going to put us on for our 30-minute marker. If it goes over, it doesn't matter, because this is my show and I can do whatever I want. I usually does go over so we can kind of bring the thing together. I usually just put that half an hour mark to let us know that we've started at some point. But I digress. Let us move on. Our time has started. I can see our comments. Let's dig into our free reading for our friend Cosmofox, who has volunteered her time to be a part of this. Oh, you already ate it. Oh, it was delicious. I'm so glad to hear that. So you're in food land while I was eating my chocolate as well. I'm glad to hear that. So, we have Saturn Atmakaraka. I love me some Shani. Saturn is my Darakaraka. And it's, I have Saturn in the 7th house. So I just love anyone who oozes Saturn energy. And you ooze Saturn energy. It's actually a nice thing that you are Libra rising in Vedic astrology. But, again, I've got to keep that out of my brain because I'm an Adityas person now. The Adityas are my main thing. But I digress. We have Saturn Atmakaraka. Saturn is the highest degrees in your chart. That's the Atmakaraka. So whatever's going on with Saturn is going to be relevant to you, very relevant to your experience. You always thought your Atmakaraka was your moon. Well, that's weird. Do we have our time right? September 27th. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September 27th, 1985. Yeah, that's weird, Cosmofox, that you thought the Atmakaraka was your moon. You know, the Atmakaraka is the planet with the highest degrees in your chart. And according to this system that I'm using, your moon is at least 5 degrees behind Saturn when you explored it before. Well, you're almost making me wonder if there's a weird... I just want to quickly check Adityas. I want to check if there's something off in the chart. Sometimes weird things can happen with predictions. Oh, the sidereal chart. Oh, okay. Good one, Robbie. That makes sense. Okay. Thanks, Robbie. Robbie's keeping my life together here, as always. Okay, so what Robbie's saying is that we're looking at... Yeah, Al's got the same idea here. So we're using the Tropical Vedic Astrology chart, which is like the Western measurements. And in these measurements, that would put Saturn at 24 degrees and the moon at 19 degrees in its sign. So Saturn is going to be the Atmakaraka, and that's the planet. Okay, good. Thank you, Cosmofox. And thank you to my team for grounding the situation. So, yes, we have Saturn as the Atmakaraka in our friend's chart here. The Atmakaraka is with Pluto and the South Node falling into the 2nd house. I know a few people who have a very similar situation to this. It's a very common thing for 1985, because in 1985, Pluto, Ketu, and Saturn were all together in this particular sign. For it to be Saturn Atmakaraka is really putting a strong emphasis on the Atmakaraka being blended in with Pluto and the South Node in the 2nd house. So 2nd house themes are going to be relevant and important. Now we have 1, 2 conjunctions. 2 conjunctions, so it looks like we have another Pasa, another Jupiter Sankhya Yoga person. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have planets falling into 5 signs. Now I'm just looking at what else we can see here. The Amakaraka and the South Node is in the second house. We have the Sun-Mercury conjunction in the first house. We have Mars and Venus conjunct in the 12th house. That is a very juicy energy. It's good to be conscientious of the intense energized energy that can dissipate into 12th house loss, waste. It's good to be conscientious of your appetites, conscientious of sexual lust, bed pleasures, dreams, imagination stuff. There will be good and bad that comes from it. We'll look more into it when we check out the Adityas. I'm happy to say that the Venus and Mars conjunction looks a lot better in the Adityas circle than the Tropical Vedic circle for the sign that it's in. Now let's take a quick peek at our Nabasa yogas, and then we are going to rock and roll. Of course, it's going to be a Noose yoga, but first, let's check out our Dala petal yogas. So this is again Nabasa yogas. Nabasa yogas are the foundational bricks in the structure of classical Jyotisha. They're mentioned first or second in most old texts because they reveal effects inherent within the total structure of the horoscope. These are permanent yogas of permanent character. Has to do with the shape of the planet arrangements. So this is an important one, this Dala yoga. It's formed by either having malefics, more benefics, or more malefics in the angles. In this case, we would technically say Mercury is considered to be a benefic in the Nabasa yogas. So here we have a malefic Sun and benefic Mercury. We would call that, even though some people would say Mercury is like, it becomes malefic if it's with a malefic. And there's a truth that it's true. But in the Nabasa yogas, this is, the Nabasa yogas, this is just a good thing to mention for everybody. You know, the Nabasa yogas are like a pre-dignity. Like, before you think of the fact that this planet is exalted, whatever, this planet's with a malefic, it's hemmed in, whatever, before you think of any of that, the celestial formations are like a precursor to that. So whatever's going on with Mercury, it's always benefic in the Nabasa yogas. So in this chart, we have a malefic Sun in an angle, the first house, and we have benefic Mercury in the first house. It cancels them out. So it's neither Mala nor Sarpa. So you're going to get an equal mix of blessings and willful confrontations from that Nabasa yoga. So you got them balanced out, which is often the case, right? So next we have the Sankhya yogas. And these are 7 possible yogas that give effects. Yeah, that's correct, Robbie. Sarpa and Mala are kind of not so applicable to this person. It's neither Mala nor Sarpa. The truly correct thing is to say that there's a bit of both going on. But usually it's when you know, the reason that they're called Mala is because it's a rosary that goes around the chart. Same thing with Sarpa. So if you've only got one planet involved anyway, then it's kind of negligible in this chart. So let's take a peek at our Sankhya yogas. This is the yogas that give effects due to the number of total rashis that the planets are placed in. Of course, this person is just like so many that we've read. 5 tends to be the most common number that I've seen so far. This is Pasa, the Noose yoga. And this is neutral. It's positive or negative depending on how Jupiter is doing. And Jupiter greatly amplifies whatever's going on in a person's chart and in a person's life through the material things that they chain or bind or snare themselves to. It's anything that binds the soul in the outer world. Now, this noose particularly refers to the noose as an attribute of Shiva or Yama. Now, we could think of dark connotations there, but it's not necessarily intended to be as such. The noose is really like a little bit, but we have to understand, like, the Indian people, they can sometimes seem very dark, but from the perspective of a person who is a spiritual person, the darkness of death, being willing to die and let go and surrender everything, is a signification of Shiva. That's why when we do yoga, if you guys have ever heard of Shavasana, it's the corpse pose. Shiva relates to that corpse pose. It means I'm basically willing to give up my life for that which transcends myself, bigger than myself. So this is how Jupiter works, is that it has a Shiva energy for those with this pasa, this noose yoga, where you are going to conscript yourself like a noose, tie yourself to something in the material world, and die through it, and surrender your ego through it, and sublimate and redeem and retribute your soul through some kind of dharma, some kind of devotion, some kind of commitment to something. It's a powerful and beautiful thing, ultimately. But it can be tough depending on, what it is that the Jupiter is attracting. Guru figures, male figures, especially for a woman, this noose yoga Shiva becomes your husband or your partner. And your partner is going to wring your karma. And depending on how Jupiter is going to say a whole lot about your transformation that's available in this life. So these are all things to keep in mind. Jupiter is already the planet of the spouse for a woman, and it goes to show that women are open. They allow themselves to be deeply transformed in partnerships. It's already a Jupiter thing, but for a person with this pasa, this noose yoga, the ramifications of transformation that occur through a partner are even deeper, even more upfront. Now, if Jupiter is well disposed, in the Rashi and Navamsha especially, this person will have knowledge, wisdom, and good fortune to help choose the highest and best path, and to see and to feel and to understand what is best for them. So that's our Sankhya Yoga. We've delved a lot and digested a lot in the Tropical Vedic chart. Let's now do the thing, everybody. Let's change to our Adityas wheel. Now we are in the Adityas circle, looking at the Adityas zodiac. Let's do our reading now from this Adityas circle perspective. Now we can see here the rising sign is now in the sign of Vishnu. The Sun and Mercury are in the rising sign. We can see Mars and Venus are behind the rising sign in the sign of Tvashta. Tvashta is a much better place for Venus. Venus is debilitated in Vivishvan. It is in its own sign, in the sign of Tvashta. Right? Venus rules Tvashta and Aryaman. Tvashta is about making a good deal. And in the 12th house, it's going to be, there's probably a deep appetite in this person. There could be tantra capacities for a person like this. Venus is well placed, although it's getting, chipped away at a little bit by Mars. Now, some very good news. Something worth pointing at is that we have a good Jupiter in its own sign in the Rashi chart. It's a little bit tougher in the Navamsha. Still some interesting and good things happening in the Navamsha. But it is worth saying that Jupiter is in the sign of Vivishvan in the Navamsha, which is technically starved by Mercury in the Navamsha. It has an interesting yoga with the moon and Mercury. There's an interesting Navamsha chart happening here. It's nice that, Mercury is exalted in the sign of Vivishvan. right? Just like in regular astrology, Mercury and Jupiter rule the corner pieces, the corner squares. And when they fall into the corner squares, we have Rashi aspects. Here, there's anything falling in the squares aspects all the other squares. And we have Venus, Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter. All of the benefics are in angles. Sorry, not angles, but in the dual signs in the Navamsha. That's helping all the planets that fall in there. There's some good things happening there in that Navamsha chart. But at least by sign, Jupiter is not the happiest in its Navamsha chart. But it's in Parjanya, which rules Pisces, in the main chart. So Jupiter in Parjanya is going to bring some positivity, some Jupiter energy. This is very good for that Sankhya Yoga. Let's see what else is going on with Jupiter. Yeah, this is a good Jupiter. It's doing everything it needs to do. It's Mercury that's considered to be particularly poppin' in this chart. What's going on with Mercury? Yeah, it's in the first house. So Mercury loves to be close to the first house. That's where it gains Digbala. Although it would technically be combusted by the sun, which is going to be a little bit damaging and agitating. So interesting also, of course, that we have another person with the south node in the second house and the north node in the eighth house. For our last person, my brain is already... it was dual set. I think dual set had the same position with the south node in the second house, the north node in the eighth house. This is an important financial house axis. It would be important for this person, especially because, again, we have Saturn, the south node, and Pluto all sitting in Amshu in the second house. And Saturn is the Amakarka. There's definitely a signification of a need to develop a sense of what I call crocodile. Yes, Mercury is popping in this chart, as you can notice there, Robbie. Very high shot bala, which is good because the north node is in Mitra, which is ruled by Mercury. Mercury also is doing nicely. It's exalted in its own sign in the Navamsha chart. So Rahu is bringing this person some good things. Rahu is going to definitely bring some positive things. Now, if we think about it, our friend Cosmofox here is currently 40 years old. Probably within the next 3 years or so, Rahu is going to be maturing in your chart. And I think this is going to bring good things. This is a positive indication, having the north node positioned the way it is. Rahu always shakes things up and mixes things up. And it's going to bring some of this Mitra energy, which is going to help resolve and give meaning and purpose to Ketu in the sign of Amshu, in the second house. So something worth kind of digging into here. Let's put this way. This is something I always like to speak to people on. With South Node and Pluto and Saturn, all in that second house. There's a little story I talk about with the second house and the eighth house that's always kind of worth mentioning. I call it the crocodile and the jaguar. The jaguar is the eighth house. That's where you got the north node in Mitra. Your Ketu and Pluto and your Atmakarka Saturn, those are all some heavy hitters. Some of the slowest moving points in the astrology chart. Pluto being the slowest moving point, which means it's got the most... It's the ones that move the slowest hit the hardest. Pluto is not a technical classical planet, but it brings transformative, heavy energy. Now, with this second house, the second house I call the crocodile. The 8th house is the jaguar. What do we mean by this? It's a financial house. It has to do with your sense of your personal financial axis of power and resources. There's an importance with relation to partnership. There's an importance relation to your own foundations through the second house. What are your resources, your family? What is your mentality with regard to money, to finances? Do you think about money? Do you think about your own crocodile? Now, this is the crocodile and the jaguar. I'll give it to you quickly so you can see it, understand it, because this is a chart that I would say there's what I would regard as being, there's, financial earthly power somewhat trying to be conveyed in this chart. I'd have to read deeper into so much other things. There's only so much I can do in a cold reading like this. But we have this stuff going on in the second house, and then we've got that Jupiter in its own sign of Parjanya in the 5th house, and they're Rashi aspecting each other. So it's worth saying, let me do the crocodile and jaguar thing. So we have the crocodile. The crocodile is its own financial reality. It's very slow moving. It develops its own sense of resources. Usually people in the second house would do well to learn and understand the classic ways of financial awareness. You might do well to read books like, there's a Canadian book called The Wealthy Barber. There's a book called The Psychology of Money. That's a popular one and a good one. Because it's worth me saying, especially because you're Saturn at Makaraka, which rules the root chakra. Money is not evil. Let's just put that flat out there. Money is a little bit messed up in today's time, but, whether we're using fiat currency that the American Federal Reserve System goes like this, especially during moments of great pandemics, they put out lots of money, and the more they go like this, the less our actual physical objects are worth, because there's always a fluctuation in value. It's just like in World War II, they wanted to have more money, so they printed more money. They just printed and printed and printed. Now all of a sudden it costs $1 million for a loaf of bread. And people were coming with bags of cash just to buy a loaf of bread. It's stupid. That's inflation, right? But no matter what, whatever monetary system you're using, whatever world you incarnate into, where money is a thing that has a social structure, whether it's dollar bills, whether it's Bitcoin, or whether it's seashells, or whether it's tanned leather in fur trading days, what we're accounting for is our vital energy. Your root chakra, your vital energy, is as important to you, and managing that is as important to you as it is to everybody else, as it is to any animal, to any squirrel who goes and collects nuts and has to have some left over for the winter in order to survive hibernation. We all do it. All animals do it. Money is a part of the root chakra. It's not evil. It's only when you have karma there related to the root chakra that money can get into some twisted, you can get into a twisted relationship with money. Now, with your situation, I wouldn't be surprised if it would be worth you reckoning with your relationship with money and financial power. You probably have talent there. You probably have a strong mind for understanding how these things work. But what's important is that you, with the South Node in the second house, there is a strong emphasis on the crocodile. And what life is going to pull you into is the Jaguar. And that is Rahu in the 8th house. So you're 40 years old right now. In the next 3 years, you might come into, the universe is going to start pushing you and prompting you and winking at you to involve your vital accounting of your vital energy resources, of your money, of your investments, to involve them with novel ways of appreciating them, and possibly to involve yourself and your money with other people. Because you actually have talent when it comes to involving your own personal resources with other people, with the caveat that Saturn, there's a lot of heaviness in that 2nd house. So there's probably resistance, but there might also be, again, intelligence. It's just going to take conscientiousness. It's going to take time. And it's going to take effort for you to think about how money works and how sharing money works. This is the type of thing where the crocodile is the 2nd house, the jaguar is the 8th house. The jaguar is loose on its limbs. It can, it's like liquidy. Like it's evolved. It's not as rigid as the crocodile. The crocodile is the 2nd house. This is my money. This is how I deal with my finances. And with your own money, you don't want to invest your principal in putting all of your eggs into the basket of someone who's offering you some magic beans. This is what we have to watch out for with the 2nd house and 8th house axis. Someone comes along and says, hey, there's this crypto and it's going to blow up. Trust me. So just trust me, even if I could borrow some money from you and put it into this thing, this crypto, this business, this opportunity, trust me, it's going to blow up. You have to wonder if this person is really a monetarily, mentally stable person, they would probably have their own money to invest in their own thing. Whenever you have someone coming along and saying, hey, I have no money, but I have a great investment idea, really, So I'm going to say this quickly because I can see your comment here, Cosmofox. The Jaguar is the 8th house. So this is the example I always give. Imagine you get a piece of property with 10 people in Peru, and you all want to, or Tulum, Mexico, and it's a timeshare thing. All 10 of you own, let's say you all put in $10,000, and it adds up to a $100,000 property in Tulum, Mexico. Now, you have your money now involved in a thing with other people. Now, you need to understand how your own personal financial resources work, and you need to talk with those people to see if they have a crocodile, to see if they have their own crocodile. You're involving yourself with the Jaguar, which is a group project that is going to fluctuate. That's the 8th house. It's always unstable. In order to involve your money with other people's money in a group venture like that, you need to have your own crocodile, and you need to understand. It's good to have a good Venus here with this too, because Venus is like this as well. Venus knows not only do I need to be good with my own money, but I need the people involved. I need to trust that they're also not idiots with money. So they put this, you got this property in Tulum, and you got 10 people involved with it, and all of a sudden a hurricane comes through Tulum, and that property now goes way down in value. You're all paying the rent on it, but no one is coming for like 2 years because there was a hurricane that happened. You all invested $10,000, and now people are starting to, is everybody going to pull out? If we pull out, then we're going to have to sell the property at a loss. Now, you want to know that if anything like that happens, that they all also have their own business, their own job, their own financial security, their own investments, so that when everything falls to shit, the group investment doesn't fall flat. Because it's going to fall down, and then it's going to rise up and make lots of money, and then it's going to fall down. Everyone has to be putting in a shared amount of energy. This is all 8th house stuff. All of us accounting for sharing our resources. So these are things to keep in mind when you're dealing with second house, eighth house energy. You've got to have your own crocodile, your own financial reality, your own investments. Take 15% of your income and you put it into a well-diversified stock portfolio or ETF portfolio, or you have a pension with your job, whatever it is. It's good for you to think about your financial future because no one is going to do it for you. There's our timer, but that's okay. I've spent a lot of time on this. I want to get into some other stuff before I leave Cosmofox. But that second house, eighth house axis, involving your money with other people and knowing how strong your own financial reality is, allow the universe to teach you how to open up new ways of understanding this relationship. Don't get caught putting your principle. It's just like Saturn, like I always say. A good Saturn is like a rabbit. It always got 3 holes dug, which means you're not going to put everything into one thing that could fall flat. When you do that, that's when you start to get really scratched. Don't put yourself into a financial situation that you can't get out of. Always be aware of how your money is in flow. Find ways of learning and understanding how money works and get into that abundance mentality and mindset and consciousness. Because K2 there with Pluto and Saturn, these planets aren't damning your second house. You have to understand that. It's that K2 is teaching you that you've come into this world with K2 in the second house. You're so close to K2. We're all so close to K2 that it becomes smoky. We think we've mastered it. And we have great talent wherever K2 is. But the truth is we need to pull ourselves like a fish out of the fishbowl. So we can look down and see, oh, I was limited by my conception of this fishbowl. Rahu does this for us. You have a good Rahu. You have a good Mercury. Mercury is the lord of your Rahu, which means talking with people about money, talking with people, using your communication and your nose, your ability to research. You probably have a very strong ability to research, which means you can probably in the next 3 years, you might find yourself being guided to use your nose to look at business plans, to look at the overall business for something that you have an opportunity to be a part of, to see all of the people in that business, to find out they all have their own crocodile. They are all financially well off and understanding people. You can talk with them about finances and business. They're not just someone coming with magic beans, hoping you'll give them their money so that they can gamble on something they're not even that sure of. The universe is going to start winking at you with this kind of reality because for all of us, Rahu matures at age 43. So in the next 3 years, your Rahu is going to start coming together, and it's going to start encouraging you to be more open-hearted, faithful, but also discerning, research-based about who you involve your vital resources with. Because you work hard for your money, you work hard to stay alive, especially because you're a Saturn Atmakaraka. It's good for you to appreciate things that you have and to not get yourself involved in things that are draining you overall. With Saturn Atmakaraka, with Ketu, it's important for you to have what we call niyamas. The sun is yamas. I'm controlling and putting in willful effort to do a lot of things. Saturn is the won't power. Saturn is the ability to say no. With Saturn as your Atmakaraka, probably since about 5 years ago, 2021, your Saturn matured, which means you've been understanding, what do I have to narrow myself down to? What do I have to let go of in order to move forward with the most effectiveness in my life? Now, it's probably worth checking out, what is this Saturn like? First, I want to see your comments. You've made your own self-made income. It's good to be aware of taxes. With the nodes on this axis and having a good Mercury as you do, it's good to be aware of taxes and how they work. You could be a business person. Let me say this, my friend Cosmofox. In the Navamsha chart, your planets are falling into what we call Nri deities. Am I right on that? Let me think for a sec. Oh no, it would actually be Rakshasa. Interesting. You've got a lot of Rakshasa energies, which means your planets. So this is a little wink at how Ernst Wilhelm has been guiding his students to think of each of the 30 degrees of a sign as being made up by the Vargas. The Vargas are not separate from the Rashi chart. 4 of your planets, that's Mercury, Moon, Jupiter, and Venus, are falling into mutable dual sign Navamshas. And we call those Rakshasa. And what that means is that you might do well committing to something that sort of break things up. It's a bit of a Shiva energy. You might be into some kind of innovation, something that shakes the world up, something that makes a difference in the world but could be like revolutionary, like innovative, something that you put energy and intention into, that you devote yourself to, which breaks the world and the way that people usually think about something. In 2021, your partner passed away unexpectedly. I'm sorry to hear that. It's been of a late bloom, but you do feel the bloom is upon you. I'm glad to hear that. So you have certainly had to make a huge shift in self-reliance. Your partner died in 2021. That was right at the age where Saturn is maturing for you. Saturn's your Atmakarka. It's your Atmakarka is planet number 1. It relates to the first house. It relates to yourself. So obviously this was an important point when you had to develop on this self-reliance. And it's important for you to recognize, Cosmofox, my dear, that for all of the theme of self-reliance that Saturn certainly does represent and resonate with, it's important for you to remember to keep your heart open, especially with Rahu in the 8th house. I think the universe is going to wink at you and guide you to be aware of the importance that can come from sharing energy with people. I'm looking where your moon is. I mean, shucks. Like, you've got the moon. Oh, you're probably a darling. You know, with the moon placed where it is, you have Jupiter in the 12th house from the moon, and Jupiter's in its own sign of Parjanya. You do not have Kemadrama Yoga. The moon likes to be at the close to the bottom of the chart. The moon has got a little bit of good yoga power here. It's got plenty good Shadbala to do what it needs to do, especially having a good Mercury or a good communicator. I'm just poking at everything I can see in this chart. You know, the 4th house has Neptune in it, which is going to show a very deep devotional soul connection with partners. And it's very interesting that this deep devotional soul bond that you probably had with your partner, that you'll feel with any partner, mind you, that you get with, there's going to be a Neptunian deep devotional strand of like a we're meant to be together type of energy. It's a Wuthering Heights love, which is very beautiful and very sweet. For this to be the Lord of Pushan, the Lord of the 4th house, is in this 2nd house with the South Node. And Pluto, it's interesting that you had to have an experience in your life where that devotional love in your heart had to disappear into Ketu. Ketu can make things disappear. I'm not going to say entirely, keep in mind in astrology sometimes we have to see lots of influences hitting on one place in order to be sure of something. But I think the universe is giving you this sense that you can have a deep experience with a love partner like that, still feel them in your heart forever, but also make space for what the universe and the cosmos is giving you now, in this incarnation, where you are. It's been 5 years since that happened. Every kitty with a bummed leg has to take their time, lie in the sun, and heal. Nobody can tell you how long that needs to take. But, my Saturn friend, time is going to uplift you. Make the character you've developed through that difficulty grow. As the universe has guided you to have, sometimes with some things in astrology, it's like a piece of aluminum. You warp it, you squish it, and then you bend it enough times and it eventually snaps off. But sometimes the human body, for example, is more like it's the opposite of that. You bend it, you do yoga, you shift, you stretch on an angle, and you actually develop deep microfacial strength by being moved, by being put into postures, by having pressure put on you. Human consciousness is this very special thing. It's kind of like a plant. I was growing cannabis for a while, and the plant, people put weights on their plants. They'll tie the branch down, so the branch is weighed down, so that eventually when you let go of the weight, you remove the rope, and the plant is actually it's got some spring in it. It's got strength in its limbs because the limbs were weighed down as it was growing up. So this is probably one of those moments where, there's nothing in your chart that signifies anything that would really rock you in a way that I would be worried about. Saturn is a little tricky in your chart, and emotional things will probably weigh heavy on you, and you will have this soul love with any partner that you have in your life. And before I read your comment, I'd just like to say that this is developing a deep spiritual character when it comes to self-devotion. The love that you found in your partner still remains in you as the love of the beloved. You are meeting cosmos when you have a love like that. The cosmos has touched you, and the cosmos that touches you is ultimately coming back to the same root of self-love, of self-realization. And it all happens for a reason. Movement is definitely going to be key. It's key for all of us. But movement, especially with Saturn. Saturn loves nature. It loves the body. It loves to feel and move through what it needs to move through. It's a wind planet. It's especially the best thing that you can do to appease Saturn as a Saturnatmakaraka, and to deal with, if you ever feel the heartfelt stuff that you feel, that what I'm talking about, if you have stuff to let go of with that lover, that partner of yours who has passed away, one of the best things that you can do is serving. I'm talking soup kitchens, I'm talking like going out and walking around giving homeless people black gloves in the winter, or clothes, or cleaning the environment. That's a bit more of a Mercury thing, really. Saturn has to do with helping people who are just really screwed. So moving around and doing things like that to help others can help, but even just doing yoga by yourself, dropping everything, dropping what's not important, and moving your body is going to be a great help to all things related to Saturn as well. We're specifically talking about this not only because what you mentioned with your partner, but also because you are Saturnatmakaraka, and you've got South Node and Pluto there too, in that second house. They're falling into Amshu, which means there's probably a creativity. There's probably an individual way that you want to align yourself. And this is something to be aware of and to be considerate of. So, now, it's also worth mentioning, my dear, that probably close to that time as well. Yeah, shucks, let me think about this. This will be the last main important thing we say that's worth saying. You have the same moon position as dual set, which means you are also going through Sadhisati. And you've been going through Sadhisati probably since about 2021. Yeah. And then it's about 2028 that you'll be through it. So, in the beginning of 2021, your Saturn was in the sign behind the moon. Then around throughout 2023, 2025-ish, Saturn was in Thata. And now Saturn recently came into Aryaman, and that's the sign after your moon, which is very relevant, my dear. You know, if you look up Sadhisati, if you've ever heard of that word before, I'm going to type it in here just so you can check it out for yourself. Sadhisati. The good news is you're through the most of it. And what has happened with Sadhisati has been very important in teaching you, especially because the moon for you rules the 9th house. Since you're Vishnu rising, the moon rules Varuna, which is the 9th house, and you've got Chiron there. So you have been learning some very deep and important personal dharma, soul energy that comes through your emotions, that comes through this moon. Since the moon has Jupiter in its 12th house, there is blessings there. I really want you to think of, and I'm just buttering your bread here. Yes, I've got a video on Sadhisati. There's videos out there. But you have to understand what it is, my dear, is that Saturn is about 3 very simple things: pissing, shitting, and puking. It's about getting out what your soul and your body are done with, and what your emotional body is done with. Now, sometimes Saturn can bring things that can be heavy, especially with a Saturn like yours that is conjunct South Node and Pluto. This is a big cathartic shock that you would have gone into. But what the Saturn, considering that Sadhisati happened at this time, there is a correlation here where the universe is lovingly guiding you like a mother to come into an emotional truth. You've had to do some self-healing, obviously, and you've had to learn how to be happy by yourself, but also to nurse wounds. And sometimes with Saturn, a lot of Saturn work is doing it by ourselves. But when Saturn's going over the moon, it is teaching us to do what the moon does, which is like a baby. What does a baby do when it needs something? Does it go off on its own and say, it's okay, guys, I can do this myself? A baby can't even think about the words, I don't need help. It doesn't know its elbow from its left hand. So what a baby does is it acts purely on the most basic emotional instinct that it has, and it cries. Asks the universe for what it needs. That's exactly what I would hope for what this reading is, Cosmofox. It's a very delicate thing that we're talking about on this public forum, but I feel you have not only an internal strength to move through this, but you're gaining strength from this. You would have gained strength from this thing, as difficult as it was. This would have been triggering for you. But one of the things that you need to understand is feeling your triggers, feeling your shadow, feeling how abandoned and despondent you could feel, feeling like the universe has made me lose this thing. It's this only thing that I had that truly loved me deeply. Well, I don't know if that's the case for you, but you have love. And it's not just in the husband or the partner that you lost. You have it in your friends. You have it in the community. The world is available around you to experience the love that you need to get through an emergency moment like this. This is the universe was probably pushing you and pressing buttons for you to say, hey, you've got to use, like a baby, you've got to cry. Ask Mother Cosmos. I need to get through this in the best way possible in this emergency moment. And while the door is still open during Sadhisati for you, Cosmofox, Saturn is still in this sadhisati area, teaching your moon to do what a baby does, which is to be emotionally open. Be vulnerable. You've gone through the hardest part of this. Now, the hardest thing to do is to fully integrate by inviting others, whether it's a therapist, it's other loved ones, friends, family members, whoever you have at your disposal, to be that baby and to ask to be in somebody's, whether it's in somebody's arms or in somebody's presence, where you can cry, where you can be vulnerable, you can talk about how difficult it's been for you to be on this journey. You don't have to do it here. But engaging somebody to be the resonant response from the baby that needs to hear its own echoes. It needs to be in the presence of somebody who it can be absolutely, vitally raw and real with. And this is tough for you, my dear, because you're Saturn not Makaraka. Saturn not Makaraka would have a hard time with Sadhisati. Because Saturn likes to do it all themselves. They like to just be quiet. They like their own emotional restraint and discipline. They go about their own way. They're not a bother to anybody. And they do their contributions to society like an Aquarius, Pushan energy. They like to contribute to the well. They like to put their sticks in the community bonfire and say, glad I got to help. And then they walk away. They go off into their own little world. People come to Saturn not Makaraka, and Saturn not Makaraka is always there to help them. But Saturn never asks for help. It's the opposite. Capricorn is opposite Cancer. Bhaga is opposite Varuna. And we love that about Saturn not Makaraka. It's such a darling thing. I have so much things that I have love for Saturn in my chart. I've had lovers who have a lot of Saturn energy and who have Saturn not Makaraka. They do everything for everybody, and they never ask for help themselves. And the saddest thing that could ever happen is if one day they just are, they freeze under the lake for a while, and they take the darkness of not ever having asked for help, and they just puke and piss and throw it up like a violent self-purge of despondent energy under the frozen lake where nobody can see it. And they stay there, and they go under the gunk, the purple gunk, for like a burgundy yuck gunk for a long time, for a couple months, and then they come out of it, and then they can kind of ask for help, be a little bit more vulnerable, involve themselves with society more. And I think it's always a good thing for Saturn to just wink at them and say, you know, it is actually important for you to go and do that by yourself sometimes. But it will be made better if you are also having the moon. You are still the moon. You know, you can still ask for those vulnerable moments. You can still ask for help. And it will make your self-soothing more efficient cosmically. Because it'll help you to come from a place of self-love at an emotional level, at an instinctive level. Your self-soothing will come from a place of love, not in a place of like, oh, fuck me, the world hates me and I have to abandon it all and unplug. It won't come from a place of abandonment or escape. It'll come from, I'm doing this for myself. And you may understand that. I know that you're self-soothing. Probably you being into astrology, you probably know about healing. You know that you have to heal yourself. But unconsciously, emotionally, it's too natural to get into this isolating thing. You can take time to isolate yourself so long as you are making sure that you're talking with people about it and coming from a place of vocalized self-love. So you have children. You are raising your children. You know, as a mother, I'm such a mama's boy. You probably spend a lot of time with emotional things that are probably very heavy, and you can't deal with it because you got children. You know, your children can't be that thing. You can be a little bit vulnerable with your children, but for a lot of the times, you don't want to unnerve them, of course. Although it is good for you, even with your children, to say, Mom's having a hard time. Everybody, let's hold hands. We're all in this together. Sometimes Mom has a hard time. Squeeze their hands. But I'm still here. I'm still strong. I have everything I need to keep being strong. Truth be told, you might feel like I don't want to put my kids through that, but I don't know. I haven't gone to university for child psychology, so take this with a grain of salt. But it is worth considering that, you don't need to completely hide your emotions from your children. That's a bad extreme. The other extreme would be like, oh, kids, help me. That would be a yucky extreme as well. Emotions are natural. And with Saturn, South Node, and Pluto all conjunct, you might be inclined to think, I've got a handle on how I deal with my emotions. But I would invite you to consider going through Sadhisati, where going Saturn over the moon is a perfect moment to invite you into novel, nuanced, experimental ways of dealing with your vulnerable emotions and energies. From a place of self-love, a place of self-experimentation. If you don't have the money for it, this is one of those things where we all don't have enough money for therapy. But it's amazing how abundance and good things can come when you spend that money on that yoga class. When you spend that money on hanging out with your friends and having that vital, emotional, vulnerable moment. Spending that money on therapy, if you need it, if you feel called to it. That's right, Robbie. This is the final phase of this Sadhisati, which means the window is closing on this very vitally important thing, especially as you're Vishnu rising. The moon rules your 9th house, that's Varuna, and Chiron is there. So this is a very special and important moment to deal with emotional things. Once Saturn, into around 2028, it's going to get into the next sign over. For us, that's Mitra, the Adityas. It's going to get to the next sign over, and the door will be closed for you to do the deep emotional work that's available to you right now. It's worth investing more in yourself. While you're in Sadhisati, you will get a retribution. Even if you have to tell your kids, sorry kids, we can't go to Disneyland this year because Mom has to take care of herself. It doesn't need to be a victim energy. It just has to be, kids, you're a mother, Cosma Fox. As a mother, you're teaching your kids to be accountable for your emotions and your spirituality and what's good for you. If you convey self-love, I'm taking care of myself, and this is what I'm investing my money in for this moment. We can't go out on a rocket ship and go on trips that we would usually go on, but this is what we do, and God bless you, This is probably, if you had a husband with you, he would be encouraging the same thing. We need to teach our kids, honey, that when we have soul moments, emotional, vulnerable moments, we need to teach them that those spaces are valid currency and they're worth investing our time into. So I can grow and be ready for the next things coming. That's it, Cosmo Fox, because you are the center of your house, of your children, and of yourself. And investing in yourself, in the center for yourself, is the best investment you could ever make for your time and your energy. You are worth it. Your emotions will thank you, and the cosmos will thank you. You will get rewards for this. Even though as a Saturn person, your rational brain might rationalize yourself out of it, consider experimenting and exploring with this self-love angle and reach out into the universe. You've got a good Jupiter, especially because you're a Pasa, a Nous person. If you think in a loving way about putting yourself on a track that's going to guide you into self-realization and you dedicate yourself to it, it's going to bind you. It's going to do the noose thing. So whether it's yoga classes or something that has a psychological inner depth to it, these things I think are going to serve you, your energy, and your vitality and abundance in the long run. I'm glad you're seeing that you need to nourish this companionship around you. Your kids are starting to see you, the person, not just you, the mom. God bless you, Cosmofox. These are the things that happen as we grow in general. So Cosmofox, I hope that this has been a relevant reading for you. Again, there's always so much to get into with astrology, but I have endeavored to, usually when I do these readings, I try to focus on the most relevant things that I see happening at the moment. And I would oftentimes speak to the Mahadashas, but my sense of Mahadashas has been messed with recently, so I don't use them too much right now. It's also worth mentioning that, you'll also be going through a bit of a relationship emotional thing because the nodes, the eclipses are happening in Thata and Tvashta right now. And so this is an important time to be aware of these things inside yourself. And I'm glad that you're seeing it. I'm glad that I got to share this reading with you. I have high hopes for you. You're a mama and you're strong. And thank you so much for volunteering your time to be a part of our reading today. Very well done, yes. Now, of course, this is how I roll. It looks like you're a new member. As time goes on, you'll never know if you keep hanging out, see me once in a while. If you get chosen for another reading, you'll be in a different place. I'll have different insights because we've been doing a lot of focus on these Nabasa yogas for the last little bit in these readings. And, as time goes on, we're going to be focusing on different things. So I'm glad to be teaching, and I'm glad to be able to have shared my heart energy with you here, Cosmofox. Thank you so much for being a part of our reading today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I am fully and officially hungry. And for all those who are watching, thank you so much for being a part of our reading today. Now, let's see. What's the usual things I like to do here? Okay, so I've got my PayPal link for anybody who's interested in sharing any love. Again, tips are never expected, but always appreciated. And my book will be coming out on April 28th. It's going to be my first introduction to Dustin Cormier as a writer. And I've got much bigger books happening on the fry right now. But this first one is going to start to get me out there to be doing my thing. Feel free to email me if you're interested in the book, if you want to read through it, and if you want to contribute to the growing world of, Amazon comments and all that kind of stuff for that. All the love that can be given and honest reviews is always appreciated and helps me as an author get out there in this thing that I'm doing. Stay tuned. I'm writing an astrology book right now as well. And as I learn more about astrology, I'm going to be including and talking about different novel techniques that I learned from my teachers as we go along. So there's always more to look forward to in the Dustin Cormier world. For now, folks, it is a Saturday. Let's go enjoy our time, hang out. It's the weekend. I'm going to hang out with my brother and my dad, play some guitar. And thank you very much, everybody, for being here with me. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you for the channel members who are a part of our show as well, for all the support that I get. I love you, folks. And I'll see you probably not next Thursday, but the one after that. As you guys know, we usually do the second Thursday and fourth Saturday of every month. That was today. So see you guys on our second Thursday for our next round of live streams and readings. Thanks, everybody. Very nice to see ya. I'll see you guys on the other side.